This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Panthers owner David Tepper, in the wake of the firing of coach Frank Reich, defended himself. He insisted he does have patience and would ideally like to hire a coach to be in Carolina the next 20 to 30 years. He, however, gave no direct explanation as why he fired Reich. He has made 3 midseason head coaching changes since 2019. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor dealing with an unspecified hand injury, which could force him to miss time during the team's playoff push. Indy currently holds the final AFC wildcard spot. NBA, Warriors welcome back Draymond Green to the lineup tonight against the Kings. Returns after serving that 5-game suspension for putting Timberwolves center Rudy Gobert in a headlock November 14th. Golden State went 2-3 without Green. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst.
They're going to definitely welcome Draymond back and then right into regular minutes, according to Coach Steve Kerr. And they were 23rd in the league in defense during this 5-game stretch Draymond was out. So obviously, him coming back is going to help them immediately on that end of the court.
Heat forward Jimmy Butler ankle injury out tonight against the Bucks. Mavs point guard Luka Doncic set to play against the Rockets despite a thumb injury.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. Coming up Wednesday, first it was Josh McDaniels, then Frank Reich. I'll tell you which head coach will be the next one to be shown the door. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, man!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Locked, loaded, a ton to do today. The Saints are working out kickers. A Saint has been signed off the practice squad by another NFL team. Sean Salsbury, LSU picks up a commitment, but let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
All right, I want to go. We are going to start this show with me being abundantly clear how I feel about a certain topic that I think is going to continue to develop over the next several days, maybe even weeks. You probably noticed on Monday evening that Florida fired Corey Raymond. Our buddy Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel broke the news, tweeted it out last night. The Gators are parting ways with Corey Raymond and Sean Spencer after Florida's 5-7 season. Just a quick sort of recap of this situation. When Brian Kelly was hired in 2021, the only staff member he retained was Brad Davis as the offensive line coach. You remember that. A lot of really good, long-standing coaches were let go. Totally Brian Kelly's prerogative. As head coach, he gets to hire a staff. With the benefit of hindsight, we can look back, and as a matter of fact, remember T-Bob and I were doing our podcast at the time, and we went position by position of the staff changes, and there were 2 where we looked at the time and said, I don't like that. One of them was firing Greg McMahon to bring in Brian Polian at special teams coordinator, and 2 was letting Corey Raymond go and bringing in Robert Steeples to coach the cornerbacks. With the benefit of hindsight, both of those look like misses on the part of Brian Kelly. Anyway, his program, his prerogative to hire who he wants. Okay. Corey goes to Florida. The last 2 years at Florida under Billy Napier, not been great. I know that Corey necessarily hasn't been pumped to be there. He never wanted to leave LSU. He went to school at LSU. He played at LSU. He coached here for a decade. His parents still live here nearby. There's a lot of reasons why he didn't want to leave. And Florida was not good this year defensively. As a matter of fact, they were very bad. Florida allowed at least 39 points in 4 consecutive games. That's the longest streak in school history. Of course, we know they gave up a school record 701 yards to LSU. They were very bad. So, heads had to roll. Billy Napier made changes. He fired Sean Spencer, who was co-defensive coordinator. He fired Corey Raymond, who was the assistant head coach and the cornerbacks coach. Fine. That's to lay all that out for you. I think it is time to bring Corey Raymond back to LSU. Now, there are 2 things that must be addressed first. Number 1 is Robert Steeples is still your cornerbacks coach. You have a cornerbacks coach. So as long as Robert Steeples is still in place, you're not bringing back Corey Raymond. So this is premature because the job isn't open. That's number 1. Number 2, I am floored. Like, I am, not literally because I would be on the floor. I am so surprised at the number of LSU fans that have rebuffed this notion. Seriously, I'm not joking here. Somewhere, somehow along the way, this narrative started among LSU fans that Corey Raymond was to blame for the erosion of LSU's secondary or defense, and I, for the life of me, have no clue where that started. I don't read message boards. I don't watch the news at night. I don't listen to other people's podcasts or shows. I create a bunch of content all day. I don't consume other people's content, so I have no idea where this started. It's not to say other shows and things aren't good. It's just how I live my life. You do you. But what I know is that a whole bunch of LSU fans didn't think of this all independently of each other. There's a fan echo chamber, and every fan base has it, and that's what's happening here. Somewhere, somebody started this notion that Corey Raymond was to blame for the erosion of LSU's defense, and it's patently absurd. It's stupid. It's wrong and dumb. I want to run through some things, okay? First and foremost, from 2012 to 2021, Corey Raymond was unanimously celebrated by LSU fans as the godfather of DBU. And I understand. Go back to 2003, Corey Webster, Travis Daniels. Nick Saban recruited a lot of other really good defensive backs that came through over those years. You could look at LaRon Landry. Stelz became an All-American. You had Chevis Jackson. A lot of great players. When Corey got it, obviously, when Ron Cooper was here, you got Pat Pete come through. Frank Wilson was responsible for getting Tyrann Mathieu, who was a no-star, and by the time he got to LSU, he was a 4-star. Yes, LSU was very good. The decade where LSU became known as DBU was him. It was Corey. He identified the best players. He recruited like hell, got them to campus. They all came here to play for him, okay? During that time, 7 first-team All-Americans. Eric Reed, Jalen Mills, Jamal Adams, Tre'Davious White, Greedy Williams, Grant Delpit, Derek Stingley. You had 16 defensive backs drafted. 4 in the first round, 5 in the second round. I, for the life of me, cannot even fathom how some of you are arguing that he was in any way responsible for LSU's erosion. You want me to run through the list of defensive backs that Corey Raymond brought here? Jalen Mills, Dwayne Thomas, Corey Thompson, Rashard Robinson, Tre'Davious White, Jamal Adams, John Battle, Dante Jackson, Kevin Tolliver, who was a 5-star, Christian Fulton, 5-star, Savion Smith, 5-star, who if LSU didn't have such a stupid drug policy, never would have left, but he left and went to Bama. Greedy Williams, who became an All-American. Grant Delpit, All-American. Todd Harris, Jontre Kirkland, Jacoby Stevens, Kerry Vincent, Kelvin Joseph, another 5-star, who if LSU didn't have a stupid weed policy, would have finished his career and said he went to Kentucky and went to the NFL. Marcel Brooks, Cordell Flott, Mo Hampton, who was a 5-star, didn't work out. Radarius Jones, Derek Stingley, he was okay. Jay Ward, Dwight McGlothern, Eli Ricks, Major Burns, Sage Ryan, who it hasn't gone great, but he was a 5-star when you signed. What are you missing? Those of you who are pushing back against the possibility of this happening. I want to be very clear. If you're the one sitting there talking about the erosion of the program, Corey quit recruiting. Let me remind you this. In 2019, you signed Cordell Flott, Radarius Jones, Mo Hampton, 5-star, Derek Stingley, 5-star, and Jay Ward, who ended up having a hell of a career. Those are the 5 defensive backs you signed in 2019. A year later in 2020, you get Eli Ricks, the number 1 cornerback in the country, Dwight McGlothern, who was awesome while he was here, and you also signed Jordan Tolles, got caught in a logjam at safety. Then in 2021, his last class, you loaded up again, primarily at safety. You brought in Major Burns via the porter, Derek Davis, Sage Ryan, who's a 5-star, Matthew Langlois, who was a local kid. You brought in Demarius McGee as well. Long, ragey corner who they were going to develop. How in the world can you tell me he stopped recruiting? How in the world can you tell me he's responsible for the erosion of the talent? You had a head coach that drove the program into the ground, got fired, the entire staff got laid off, and a bunch of players left. Eli Ricks left because he had 0 NIL deals here. He was the 5-star number 1 corner in the country, had $0 in NIL, had an opportunity to go to Bama after the staff got fired, left. Don't blame him. Dwight McGlothern, left. Staff got fired. The coach he committed to, left. Got fired. Left. How is that his fault? I for the life of me, cannot understand what in the world where this is coming from. If you want to talk about defensive erosion, then let's talk about Ed Ogeron hiring Bo Pelini after Dave Aranda left. And when that blew up, he went and hired Durante Jones, who hadn't been a defensive coordinator since 2009 at the Division II level. If you're sitting here today blaming the cornerbacks coach for the defensive erosion, then why today are so many of you blaming Matt House and not Robert Steeples? Similarly, if you're blaming Corey Raymond for the defensive issues at Florida, why aren't you blaming the defensive coordinator if you're blaming Matt House for the issues here? Listen, if you are a position coach, your primary job on the day-to-day is to teach talent and technique. And you never forget how to teach technique. My God, LSU brought in Pete Jenkins to coach the defensive line this year. Why? Technique. You think Corey's forgotten how to backpedal and flip his hips and play the ball? Y'all, the bottom line is you don't have players and your scheme was awful. Let me ask you a question. What is easier to find? A coach or a roster full of dudes? You know the answer. Give me the guy that has proven over more than a decade that he can get you dudes, which you have none of right now. Like literally 0 dudes in your secondary. I'm looking at LSU's roster right now, and I don't know if there's a single player in the secondary that is a draftable NFL player today. Maybe some of the freshmen develop into that, we'll see. But none of them look like draftable NFL players right now. You know who spent his whole career finding the best talent and getting him to campus? Corey Raymond. Why? Why is anybody pushing back against the notion of him coming back to Baton Rouge? He wants to come back to LSU. You need someone who can recruit dudes on your roster. He's done it. You think he forgot how to recruit 2 years in Gainesville? Have you looked at Florida's class? I understand that this ain't going to get resolved today because LSU still has a cornerbacks coach. And Brian Kelly's going through staff evaluations. Some guys are going to lose their job. You can't be as bad as LSU was defensively this year and keep everything the status quo. I don't know who's going to get fired, but guys are going to get fired. And if you have the opportunity to bring Corey Raymond back to LSU, you find room on your staff for that guy. And anybody, wherever that narrative is starting, wherever it is starting, and if you are one of those people falling in line, hopefully this has helped remove the blinders. Because however that stupidity got started, that somehow Corey Raymond was responsible for LSU's defensive erosion, is one of the dumbest fan echo chamber narratives I have ever heard. And I've been doing this job a long time. And I hate hyperbole, but this is a man who for a decade built LSU into what we all unanimously celebrated as DBU. And you think he just forgot how to go recruit great players? Where is that stupidity coming from? And it's all over. I'm looking at my Twitter. All the Twitter mentions for people. It's 50-50. Half of you want him back. Half of you, no, he's washed. He's wasted. He's awful. Like, what are you talking about? Give me a guy that will get the best players at that position to campus. Ain't nobody better. I defy you. I challenge you. Anyone to try to come at me with some logical explanation as to why you wouldn't want that guy back at LSU. Stunning to me. I was so stunned when I saw that news from Edgar Thompson last night, and I looked at the Twitter responses coming in. I was floored by how many LSU fans have somehow, some way convinced themselves that he was the problem. No, brother. The biggest The biggest mistake that Brian Kelly made when he got hired was letting this dude walk out the door and letting Kerry Cooks and Robert Steeples coach the defensive backs. Because that is why you had players leave, and that's why you've gotten no new players at that position. Bring him home now. It's After Further Review. Show Open is brought to you every day by Bud Light. Could I be any more clear about where I stand on this? Let there be no ambiguity whatsoever, right? We're all good on where Scone stands on this. So if they bring him back, and in 5 years he's fired because they're recruiting 1 and 2 stars, you can all point and laugh at me, and I'll own it. But you know that ain't the truth. Bud Light, official beer of AFR, official beer of LSU, official beer of the New Orleans Saints. Hey, the Tiger 10K is this weekend. The 10K that finishes at the 50-yard line at Tiger Stadium. That is presented by Bud Light, our friends at Mockler Beverage. Drink easy in Louisiana this football season with Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Okay, quick break. I'm already sweating, dude. We are one segment into this show, and I'm already sweating. All right, Saints are working out kickers today. Are Blake Grupe's days in the black and gold numbered? We'll talk about it next, AFR.
AFR. It's a raving fan shout-out. Presented by Darren James & Associates, brokered by eXp Realty.
How about this one from Teresa Zito, who said, Darren did an amazing job selling our home. He kept us informed every step of the way. He's extremely knowledgeable and helpful anytime we had questions. The advertising he does for your home is over and above. They kept us constantly updated on the closing, so we had no surprises. We knew we were in good hands, and Darren and his company had our back while trying to sell our house. Customers for life. Another 5-star review for Darren James & Associates, brokered by eXp Realty. Why in the world would you hire any other realtor than the realtor that sells more homes than anyone? And remember, Darren has his guaranteed sale program. Sit down with Darren, agree to a price and a deadline. If he doesn't sell your home at that price, by that deadline, he'll have your home bought with cash, or he'll sell it absolutely free for his half of the commission. It's Darren James. Agent225.com. That's agent225.com for Darren James.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to Six.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us here. Go around the SEC. Shay Dixon to start hour number 2. The LSU did pick up a JUCO defensive line commit. I think it signals another piece of evidence about the signaling the change that we've talked about in LSU's approach. We'll get to that with Shea in less than an hour from right now. The New Orleans Saints lost a player today, could be bringing in another player. Let's talk about who they're bringing in first, potentially. Nick Underhill tweeted earlier today, Saints are trying out place kickers. Among them, Mason Crosby, James McCourt, and Taylor Bertolette. Blake Grupe, of course, beat out Will Lutz this year to win the Saints' place-kicking job. Lutz has had an okay season there in Denver with the Broncos after the Saints traded him to Denver. And Grupe has been up and down. He's among the bottom of the league in field goal percentage. And the bigger issue is his inability to make the kicks in the clutch. We could talk about the one at Green Bay, which would have sent the game potentially to overtime. And then, obviously, this past weekend, he was 5 for 5 and then missed the one that could have potentially extended the game. It's just it's a problem. I mean, they missed. It's not to say that Blake Grupe can't at some point in his career salvage himself and get better as a place kicker. It happens. Guys have early struggles at all positions and then find themselves and can continue to develop. And my hope is, sincerely, that happens with Blake Grupe. But in the NFL, I mean, cliches are what they are for a reason, and it's what have you done for me lately? And when every week your job is potentially on the line, you have to deliver. And if you don't, they're going to rightfully bring in players that could take your job from you, and they have to look at place kickers at this point. Mason Crosby has kicked in 258 career games. His career field goal percentage is 81.4. He hasn't kicked this year. Of course, he spent all those years in Green Bay. Just an incredibly long tenure there with the Green Bay Packers. But 81.4 is his career field goal percentage. Last season in 2022, he was at 86%. So a fewer number of total attempts, but he was 25 of 29 with a long of 56, and that'll play. Crosby is the most accomplished among the kickers they worked out. McCourt, James McCourt is the other one. James McCourt is 26 years old and hasn't kicked in an NFL game. He's been up and down with the Raiders and the Jags on their practice squad this year, back and forth a little bit last year and this year, but hasn't kicked in a game. And then Taylor Bertolette is the other. He's 31 years old, so another veteran place kicker that the Saints have brought in. He kicked in 2022 with the Chargers. He was 3 for 3 last season with Los Angeles. Of course, you remember Taylor Bertolette from his time at Texas A&M. So I don't know. Look, Mason Crosby, I think, is the best option if you do decide to make that change. They're going to look at these guys. They're going to work them out and see how they do in the workout. But ultimately, I tend to err on the side of go with the veteran who's not going to be moved emotionally by any situation. You know, Mason Crosby's kicked for as long as he has. He's just seen everything and all types, obviously kicking in Green Bay as well. You're talking about a guy that he started his NFL career back in 2007. When you talk about, he was on the Packers Super Bowl team back in 2010. So he's kicked in every type of meaningful situation in the playoffs, in the postseason, the Super Bowl, in the regular season, domes, outdoor, Green Bay snow, whatever you might face. There's nothing that he hasn't seen. The leg strength may not be where or what it was, but a year ago he kicked a 56-yarder, which at this point, I don't know how you shy away from that. If you're going to make a move, I think Mason Crosby would probably be the one, because it's the old thing about, like, can you bring your game that golfers talk about? Can you bring your game from the driving range to the course? Can you bring it from the putting green, the practice green to the course? You can make 15 putts in a row, but when it's Masters Sunday and you're staring over an 11-footer to win the Masters with a gallery and with the TV crowd and everybody watching and all the pressure, what do? That's what you can't simulate. Well, you don't have to guess with Mason Crosby. It's just physically at 39 years old, can he still do it? And a pretty good season a year ago, especially relative to what you have now. So Sand's a better option. That's probably the direction I'd like to see him go. That wasn't the only news for the Saints today. The Saints did lose a player. We'll get to that here in a second. We're brought to you by Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com with more than 30 offices across 11 different states. I tell you all the time, if you weigh or measure something, they sell, service, rent the products that you use to weigh and measure. With precision measurement devices, they can calibrate your equipment. All the nation's leading distributor among scales. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Hey, remember, you can go to the website. It's a great place to start at Michelli.com. Also, they offer ISO 17025 accreditation. If you don't know what it is, you don't need it. If you know what it is, you know why it's important. I say that all the time, but I've had enough of you in various industries say, I hear you say that about ISO 17025 accreditation. We do that all the time. So yes, they do that. And then, of course, their track system, which allows you 24/7, 365 access to all of your calibration certificates. It's Michelli Weighing and Measurement. Michelli.com. So the other bit of news today was that the Saints have lost Jason Pierre-Paul after just 1 week on the Saints practice squad. The Saints signed him to the practice squad, and the Miami Dolphins today signed Jason Pierre-Paul off of the Saints practice squad. So JPP was with the Saints for just a week. He made the announcement on his Instagram that, all caps, I'm coming home, is what he put on his Instagram. And now the Saints lose a player that was a veteran, their edge rusher, that was kind of brought on when Isaiah Foskey got hurt, and you knew you needed help there coming off the edge. And Pierre-Paul, who's 34 years old. I thought I had his age. My apologies. Anyway, Jason Pierre-Paul has been in the league since he was drafted in the first round back in 2010 with the Giants, and was with the Saints. And not only did the Saints sign him to the practice squad, he was active this last week and played in Atlanta against the Falcons as a rotational piece. I like that move for a lot of the reasons we talked about. While JPP may not be a guy that you want to go get you 50 or 60 defensive snaps a game, can you get me 10 snaps as a rotational piece on pass rushing downs? And he did that last week for the Saints in Atlanta. But ultimately, he was still in the Saints practice squad and had the opportunity to sign with Miami. He's from Miami, so it's an opportunity for him to go closer to his home and play for the Dolphins. The move was necessitated by Miami after linebacker Jalen Phillips suffered a season-ending Achilles injury, so they needed help. I kind of look at who could be next for New Orleans if you are looking, in fact, to replace Jason Pierre-Paul and add another edge rusher. I would have said Derek Barnett would have been the most obvious answer. After he was waived by Philadelphia, Derek Barnett was claimed yesterday by Houston off of waiver. So even if the Saints put in a waiver claim, the Texans clearly had an opportunity to nab Barnett before the Saints did, and clearly they did. So Derek Barnett's now a member of the Houston Texans. If you look at other defensive ends or edge rushers that are available, the most prominent guys, like if you're looking for JPP, right, that role, the guy who is the veteran guy who's really accomplished and, you know, just is at the end of his career and might be able to give you some snaps at the end of a game or in certain scenarios. The only two that really make sense, I don't know that the Saints realistically would sign either of them. They're Chandler Jones and Robert Quinn. And if you haven't been keeping tabs on those two knuckleheads, Chandler Jones has been arrested twice recently, and just yesterday was on IG Live and did a really weird video where it was almost paranoid, where he's walking around his home in Scottsdale naked and insisting that the Scottsdale police are after him. That's someone who doesn't seem like he's of sound mind. I'm making an assumption there, but he needs help, not an NFL contract. And then Robert Quinn was arrested back in August. He had an incident with his neighbors where he was driving and hit like 4 or 5 of their cars. He got out of the car and assaulted one of his neighbors. So obviously he hasn't been touched either. But those are really the two available veteran players, but you're not going to sign either of them. So it almost feels like if you're the Saints at this point, you don't have a better option. unless if there's someone you scouted through the draft process or saw on another team that's hanging out on a practice squad who you feel like could come in and give you immediate snaps right now. And if that doesn't exist, then you kind of look at your roster and say, okay, well, where's some of the young talent on this roster that might be able to get an opportunity to give it a go? And I'm not so sure that there's an obvious one, but what you do know, and maybe it's Nico Lalos, some of the guys that you were excited about, in the preseason. I know we talked about a guy like Kyle Phillips, who of course is a battle injury, but I don't know that there's another great option. So maybe you run your young guys out there. Maybe there's an increased role for Zach Bond at this point. But what you know about the Saints team is that with 25 sacks right now through 11 games, the Saints are 22nd in the NFL in sacks. You're not generating pressure. So there isn't an easy answer. The trade deadline is passed. You're a sinking ship to begin with. I don't know that there's a great option anywhere for this team. I mean, Demario Davis has 4 sacks. Carl Granderson has 5.5 leading your team. Unfortunately, Cam Jordan just has 2 sacks on the season. His production has dipped after he gave him the contract extension. You're just an old team. You're the oldest roster in the NFL. And as you continue to see the defense dip and wane, you start to wonder, really what leg does Dennis Allen have left to stand on? I mean, they're 9th in the NFL in scoring defense, and that's very good. It's top 10. But I think you have to look at the recent history and what that's done to that average. You started this season allowing 15 points to Tennessee, 17 points to the Panthers, 18 to the Packers. But since then, you allowed 26 and an ugly loss to Tampa. You shut out New England. And then you allowed 20 to the Texans, but then 31 to Jacksonville, 27 to the Colts, and they put up over 300 yards of offense. 17 to the Bears, where they were just a turnover machine. 27 to the Vikings, 24 to the Falcons. Your average, your points per game allowed, your defensive scoring average is that number is increasing here in the last month. So if you're not generating pressure, your defense is not playing as well as they were in the first month of the season. Your offense is a mess. You really start to look around and say the one thing that Dennis Allen had going for him was the defense was playing well. Well, that's not really true anymore either. So, you were atrocious against the run on Sunday in Atlanta. And the Falcons ran for 228 yards. Atlanta ran for 228 on you. So your run defense is no good. You're not generating any pressure. But for Tyrann Mathieu coming up with a couple of picks, that game's probably a rout. So the beat goes on with Dennis Allen. I mean, they'll line it up. They'll play this weekend against Detroit. It probably won't go well. And there'll be more cries for his job. And until Mrs. Benson is pressured enough to make a move, or Mickey Loomis, be more of the same. All right. Tuesday shows are brought to you by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. From Bunkie and below. You're in the market for a tractor, any type of farm equipment. Of course, harvest is going on right now. And big shout out to all of the farmers who listen to this show. Salute to all the work you do. The agriculture industry in Louisiana is massive, and I know there's so many of you that listen every day. If you're on your combine, you're on the tractor, we appreciate you for being here with us every single day. We appreciate our friends over at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. All right, let me knock out a break. We'll go around the SEC. Shay Dixon in 26 minutes. We'll talk a little recruiting. LSU did pick up a JUCO defensive line commit. We'll talk about that with Shay Dixon again in about 26 minutes from right now. We're glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Glow Resources, GLO, glowresources.com. Complete employer solutions. That's Glow Resources. And I want to be clear, even if you're not in Baton Rouge or Louisiana, that's fine. So many of you listen on the app, you watch us on YouTube, you're all over the country or even the world. Remember, if you're a business owner and you're struggling with hiring, Glow Resources can help. The hiring market's bad. We all know it's been bad since COVID. And when you work with Glow, Glow is a permanent solution. It's so their customer retention is one of the most impressive things about Glow. If you're tired of experimenting with hiring, don't go the cheapest route. Glow scores themselves on how long their employees stay with their customers. And that's why people love to work with them. It's Glow Resources. Stop guessing. Talk to Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com. They are a complete employer solution. Glow Resources. glowresources.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
I just think when you look at what this program is capable of, what we've got to do is we've got to fulfill that potential. And I think that happens with work. And I think that was the message I sent to the players. That was the message I tried to deliver to the crowd. We can't just say we want to be something. We can't just say we want to arrive somewhere. We've got to be committed to all the work that it's going to take from today until we kick off next September of doing that. And there's a lot that goes into that. There's culture building, there's camaraderie, there's connecting with the players, there's the players connecting at a greater level with each other, there's strength and conditioning, there's development. You know, there's so much that goes into winning football games in the fall, and those are the things that we've got to start taking pride in.
That is new Texas A&M head coach Mike Elko. Everybody wins the press conference. I'm going to be most interested to see what he does assembling a staff. What you know about Mike Elko, of course, is that he's a great defensive mind. And, I'll look forward to the next opportunity we have to talk to Brian Kelly, because Kelly hired Mike Elko at Notre Dame before he was hired away by Jimbo Fisher to be his defensive coordinator at Texas A&M, then became, of course, the head coach at Duke, now Jimbo's replacement. But the single most important hire that Mike Elko is going to make is his offensive coordinator. And he was asked, what the plan is going to be for his offense there in College Station.
I mean, obviously, everybody, that's the million-dollar question. And what I tell people this, we are going to find a way to play explosive offense. We're going to be part of the modern era. We're going to be able to switch up tempos. We're going to be able to utilize our personnel. I think in this day and age, you've got to be able to be very multiple and very adaptable in what you do on offense. I think people get caught up in these words like they mean everything. Like, oh, we got to be spread or we got to be pro-style. And at the end of the day, we've got to be a group that knows how to attack defenses, get the ball in our playmakers' hands, and allow them to be successful.
That all sounds really good and sounds right, and I'm not even suggesting that he's wrong, but it is worth noting that Duke this year was 94th in the country in offense. They're 94th in the country at 346 yards per game. Yes, Riley Leonard, their starting quarterback, was hurt after their great start when they started 4-0 and beat Clemson, but there has to be a degree of interchangeability. Yes, you're going to struggle when you lose your starting quarterback. That goes without saying. But does anybody think that if LSU lost Jaden Daniels, they would be pushing the triple digits in total offense? I don't think so. So that it is. I'll put it to you this way: it is fair to have a healthy degree of skepticism when it comes to Elko and the offense there at Texas A&M. You just haven't seen it since the Johnny Manziel years. So you got to see it. Who he hires as his offensive coordinator, I think will be obviously, goes without saying, will be critical. But it's going to be very noteworthy when that happens, and we'll all be watching. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. We're brought to you by DraftKings, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Pelly's lost last night. That was a bummer. But you know what? You wanted to bet on it. You could have done it. And win or lose, you would have won $150 if you're a new customer. Here's the deal. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. If you're a new customer, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge, one word, Baton Rouge. Make a $5 NBA bet. It's that easy. Make any $5 NBA bet. Money line, spread, total, futures bets, award, live, in-game, whatever. Make a $5 NBA bet. They'll give you $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's win or lose at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Not just NBA, of course, you bet on anything. You want to bet on Jaden Daniels' Heisman odds? You can do it. You want to bet on conference championship weekend this weekend in college football? You can do it. You want to bet on the NFL, NHL, futures bets? It's all there for you. You probably got like international soccer and cricket games. I mean, just pull up the DraftKings Sportsbook app. You'll see it. You can have a lot of fun. And great specials for all users, new and existing users, every single day. Great incentives. When you download the app, you see it right there at the top. You see all the great incentives. Check it out at the DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use the promo code Baton Rouge. DraftKings. The crown is yours. 21 and older, physically present in Louisiana. Select parishes only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/basketball terms. Licensing partner Golden Nugget Lake Charles. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-426-2537. All right, we do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions. The Georgia Bulldogs.
Syracuse is reportedly targeting Georgia defensive assistant Fran Brown for its head coaching vacancy. Brown's 41 years old. He's coached Georgia DBs the past 2 years, had a similar role at Rutgers, Temple, and Baylor. He's a New Jersey native, so a lot of ties to the Northeast. Syracuse, of course, fired Dino Babers on November 19th after 8 seasons.
The Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky will return 3-year starter Eli Cox, who started both center and guard during his time at Kentucky. He'll be a 6th-year senior next season for the Wildcats. Started in 2021, started at right guard for 9 games before injury. 2022 started all 13 games at center. Eli Cox was actually one of the representatives at SEC Media Days in Nashville this past summer as well. So 24 will be his final season of eligibility.
The Florida Gators.
Tight end Jonathan Odom will enter the transfer portal. He'll be a graduate with 2 years of eligibility remaining. Played in just 4 games this season. Entered the concussion protocol back in September, never returned. It was interesting because Odom tore his ACL in the Las Vegas Bowl a year ago and was able to return for this season. So he had a rapid recovery from that, but concussion caused him to miss the bulk of the season.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Sophomore linebacker Jordan Crook announced his intention to enter the transfer portal. The second Arkansas linebacker to enter the portal. He joins Chris Paul Jr., not that Chris Paul, the other Chris Paul. He's a 3-star recruit out of the 2021 class. Chose Arkansas initially over Michigan, Southern Cal, Washington, Oklahoma State, Missouri. Played in all 12 games this year, all 13 games a year ago.
The Auburn Tigers.
And Auburn freshman defensive lineman Steven Johnson also hitting the portal. 6'3", 337-pounder. He was out of Fayetteville, Georgia. Didn't play this season at Auburn. Initially chose Auburn over Arkansas, Georgia Tech, Maryland, and Vanderbilt. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. Shout out to our guy, Trey Beal. And our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products, you know where to find them, gcopnet.com, gcopnet.com for Gulf Coast Office Products. Face-to-face sales, service after the sale. They're the best. They're Gulf Coast Office Products, where they're a national leader among Savin dealers. But they proudly sell the Savin line, but service all makes and models. It's our friends at Gulf Coast Office Products, gcopnet.com. Okay, let me knock out a break. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 1. This is probably one we should have had in Around the SEC, but there are reports now that it's happening. Bobby Petrino returning to the place where he once fell off a motorcycle. We'll explain next. It's AFR.
AFR.
I love this when our clients, our sponsors, our partners, when they give back to the community. And this is a great time to do it, of course. And River City's 1 Hour Air is doing something for the first time ever. It's their Adopt a Family Christmas program. The holiday season, of course, it's a great time for so many, but for a lot of families, it's also a really difficult time. And if you'd like to nominate a family in need this Christmas to help River City's 1 Hour Air help those families have a happier holiday, you could do so. Go to their Facebook page. You can email your nomination, christmas@onehourbr.com. Again, christmas@onehourbr.com. Everything's going to be confidential, by the way. I should mention that. I don't know if I have, but I want to make sure I mention that. They love to be a part of this season of giving and sharing. Let River City's 1 Hour Air help. If you know a family in need this holiday season, River City's 1 Hour Air is going to adopt 3 families. It's River City's 1 Hour Air, 752-0001, or email christmas@onehourbr.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter @1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter @1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at Relief.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right, wrapping up hour number one. Shay Dixon in about 12 minutes from right now. Glad you're hanging out. This is one of the more unbelievable stories that I think you'll probably ever see. Y'all know I say this, I hate hyperbole. It's not what I do, but it was a decade ago that the University of Arkansas fired Bobby Petrino after he had an affair, had a student staffer on a motorcycle with him. They crashed the motorcycle, and he lied to the administration about it. He did that silly press conference where he was there trying to get sympathy in a neck brace and a battered and bruised and bloodied face. I mean, that picture has become a meme. And it's been a decade. It's been 11 years. It was spring of 2012 when that motorcycle accident happened. Of course, the administration learned that he was lying to them, and that sent him on this long, circuitous path throughout the rest of his coaching career. He would get back into coaching at Western Kentucky, and then after 1 year, Louisville rehired him. Remember, he left Louisville in 2006, went to the Atlanta Falcons, and midway through his lone season in Atlanta, he left the Falcons, left a note in the players' lockers that he was leaving to go to Arkansas. And then, of course, his time at Arkansas had some high points. I mean, of course, they won double digits. The Ryan Mallett years, may he rest in peace, were fantastic. They beat LSU. They went to a Sugar Bowl where they played Ohio State. And now I can't even believe I'm going to say these words. Arkansas is hiring Bobby Petrino back. Brendan Marcello, I don't know if he's the first to have it, but he's the one that I just saw. And he doesn't cite anybody else as having had it first. But Bobby Petrino finalizing a deal to become Arkansas's offensive coordinator. Announcement expected today. Of course, Petrino fired as the head coach in spring 2012 after he lied to administrators following a motorcycle accident. So Bobby Petrino, after his one season in College Station, is staying in the SEC and is heading back to Northwest Arkansas. I would be willing to bet the reaction to this. So there's two components of this, okay? First is the reaction to this in Arkansas circles, I'm going to assume is going to be very well received because Bobby Petrino won there. He was loved there. He brought them to great heights. They didn't want it to end. It ended because it had to end. He lied to administrators about an affair he was having with a student worker. He had her on a motorcycle. It's a meme. The other part of this is the football part of it, which is, Sam Pittman got essentially a 1-year grace period. He could have been fired this year, and nobody would have blamed Arkansas administration. Now, that schedule that Arkansas faced was brutal, and they were away from home for essentially a month because they had road games. They had the neutral site against Texas A&M, and it was, by any strength of schedule metric, one of the top 5 toughest schedules in America. And Arkansas missed a bowl game again, and they have fallen far from the 9-win season a couple of years ago that had many people believing Sam Pittman might do well. But it is the singular biggest component for a head coach that isn't a specialist. We saw it with Ed Ogeron. You have got to nail your coordinator hires. When Ed Ogeron had Dave Aranda, who Les Miles hired, and Steve Ensminger, who Les Miles hired, they won a national championship. After that, look at what happened. Bo Pelini, Durante Jones, Jake Peets. You eroded. Look at Sam Pittman. He hired Barry Odom, and he had Kendall Briles. Both of those guys left for better opportunities, and he botched the hires this year. And now he's back on the market again. Maybe it'll work with Bobby Petrino. There was all the questions about would it work with Petrino and Jimbo. Would Jimbo really give him autonomy to the offense? I don't know. But what I do know is A&M's offense was 53rd in the country this year at 403 yards per game. And they had a lot more talent on that A&M offense than they have on that Arkansas offense. And you're going to be replacing KJ Jefferson. So I don't know that it's going to work. But if you're Sam Pittman, you are essentially putting your program in the hands of a man who was fired from this very program 11 years ago for lying to administrators. And how desperate are the Arkansas administrators to win now? They're rehiring the guy that was fired by a different athletic director at the time, albeit. But they're willing to rehire that guy that was fired unceremoniously 11 years ago. Bobby Petrino, back at Arkansas. Words I never thought I'd say. Okay, it's after further review. SportsCenter's coming up. We'll get you caught up on national headlines. When we come back, we'll talk to Shay Dixon of On 3 Sports. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Mold Zero is now Pure Restoration, pure-restoration.com, pure-restoration.com. We are expecting rain in the area later this week. If you have rain, which could breed mold and odor, call Pure Restoration. This process is so easy. I'll call Jim Woodworth in the gang. Jim's a great dude. Air Force veteran, was part of the recovery effort in New York post 9/11, came down this way, post BP oil spill, helped with the recovery there. Told you all about Mold Zero. They have rebranded to Pure Restoration. It's the same great patented non-toxic dry fog treatment, same great staff, now an expanded menu of services as they can handle demolition and build back if you need it. But they have so many great products as well. You have odor, they can get rid of it from cigarettes or pets, whatever it may be. Gymnasiums or gyms that have the sweat odor, workout facilities, they can knock that out with one dry fog treatment. And you don't even have to move furniture out. It's simple. It's Pure Restoration. Pure-restoration.com. Check them out online, pure-restoration.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. We have new information about botched security upgrades that didn't happen at the East Baton Rouge Parish Juvenile Detention Facility, as money sat there unspent, tied up in government red tape. This month alone, 2 different escapes happened involving violent juveniles. Now, security upgrades are being forced to be made. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Step inside an Infiniti QX50. And you'll find a suite of driver-focused features tailored to your tastes. But most of all, you'll find luxury that lets you feel infinitely you. Visit your local Infiniti retailer today.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor is expected to undergo surgery on his injured thumb this week. He could miss 2 to 3 weeks of Indy's playoff push. The Colts currently hold the final AFC wildcard spot. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reports free agent linebacker Shaq Leonard left his visit with the Cowboys without a deal. Dallas somehow should find a way to add Leonard, advises ESPN's Marcus Spears.
Can get after the passer. He's phenomenal in coverage. We saw him a couple times shooting the gap and making tackles for loss. And if you Dallas, this is a good step in you having success in the playoffs. When you talk about playing against Philly and you talk about Kittle in San Francisco, I think this would be a hell of a pickup for them. Barring his health is all there and he can play at the level that he expects himself to play at.
Marcus on NFL Live. Leonard is slated to visit with the Eagles tomorrow, reports ESPN's Adam Schefter. Panthers owner David Tepper never gave a reason as to why he fired coach Frank Reich, but he did stand by Carolina's decision to draft quarterback Bryce Young number 1 overall. He also defended his perceived lack of patience. Tepper has fired 3 coaches mid-season the last 4 years.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. Coming up Wednesday, first it was Josh McDaniels, then Frank Reich. I'll tell you which head coach will be the next one to be shown the door. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
Let's ride.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Sean Salsbury, 1 hour from right now. LSU's regular season might be over, but that just means recruiting season and all the like are heating up. The portal window opens up on Monday. Good time to check in with Shay Dixon. Of course, from On 3, the Bengal Tiger. Shady, we appreciate you, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Hey, man, it's our pleasure. Let me start with the news, the literally big news of Sean Washington committing on the defensive line. JUCO, give us the backstory here, Shay, if you would.
Yeah, this is a kid who was committed to LSU at one point in time back in the Orgeron era, coming out of New Orleans at Warren Easton, then decommitted. And not it was before Coach O got let go, so decommitted and ended up signing with Georgia and was part of a national championship team and entered the portal after just 1 year and did something that I think will be more popular. This is a Shea prediction here.
Okay.
Will be more popular as we go forward in the portal. So each year we hear about these thousands of kids, right? However many, 2,000 kids, 1,800 enter the portal. Well, there's only so many places you can go. And if you're at Georgia and you're a talented player, you can't go up from there. You can go to a Bama, you can go to an LSU and all that. You can, make a lateral move, but those teams have to have a need. And he entered last spring after Georgia got done wrapping up winning a national championship. So his options were even more limited. So he said, which now I'm seeing a lot more kids do, is I'll just go JUCO for a year. It's not a grades thing. I'll be able to leave in December and enroll in another school, but instead of dropping down to a lower level and grabbing a scholarship at a 4-year university now, I'll just go play for a year at JUCO, put more film out there and pick up more offers. And that's just what Sean Washington did. And LSU, Bama, State, all these schools came calling with interest. And he spent the year at East Mississippi. They are now set next weekend to play Hutchinson in the JUCO semifinals, and then he could be playing for a JUCO championship. So I like taking the route of kind of betting on yourself, saying, hey, look, I'll go JUCO for a year. I'll start. I won't have to sit, and then I can come and back around and explore more options. And he had a lot more options and settled in on LSU after visiting this past weekend, and that was kind of always the feel. I had my own 3 RPM pick on him to land at LSU once they had offered him again once he was in JUCO. But a big defensive tackle. We're talking about a kid who's a 300-plus pounder who can play the nose, can play the DT position. And one thing that I like, which I think that any coach and Brian Keller or anyone else would like, is at Warren Easton, they went to 2 state titles when he was on that team at the latter part of his high school career. He goes straight to Georgia and wins a national championship. He's now 1 year in JUCO. They win in next weekend. He's playing for a JUCO national championship. So if you're talking about kids who understand the mentality of, hey, here's what it takes in a locker room to buy in, to be on a championship team, he's seen it at the high school level. He's seen it at Georgia. He's seeing it now at JUCO. And then you bring him to LSU, and he's not out of his element. He understands what it takes to, hey, look, if we're going to reach the ultimate level, this is the type of commitment you have to have.
I love the point. Shay, walk us through the numbers here on the defensive line, on the interior defensive line.
In terms of recruiting or who they kind of, which direction do you want me to go?
So Jordan Jefferson's out. We'll wait on decisions on Mekhi Wingo, Mason Smith.
There you go.
And Jacobian Guillory as well.
I think that's where you start, right? Because the first 2 seasons, remember when Brian Kelly took over, the entire narrative was, look, you're taking over a team, yes, it's LSU. They've got 38, 39 scholarship guys. Like, you're way below the 85-man limit. This is a multi-year rebuild. These past 2 years, they've taken double-digit transfers with ease because they could. I mean, if you feel good about a guy, he's a depth, whatever it is, take him. I mean, we've got spots, is the mentality. Now they don't. You've now built up a roster to where you have to manage, okay, who's leaving, who's going to hit the, for the NFL or the portal, who are we signing? Right now they have 26 signees. And then how many guys do we want out of the portal? And Brian Kelly has maintained that he wants under 10. He has said that publicly. Hey, look, I'd like to be under 10 guys. I've heard, between 5 and 10. So for the first time in the Kelly era, they're really having to manage that. And Matt, I've called around and talked to numerous sources close to the program in the past few days. And the first thing out of everyone's mouth is retention. And that means, can you get Mason Smith to come back? Can you get Mekhi Wingo to come back? And you mentioned Guillory. Those are guys who started for you. So if you get them to come back again, suddenly your D-line depth is a lot better than it was, had they all bail and you're starting over again and hoping you can, move one of these guys from second team to first team, and you hit on someone in the portal and you're playing that whole game again because you're not wanting to start a true freshman defensive lineman at D tackle right now when you're trying to win in the SEC. So retention. That's the name of the game right now. And I think when you talk about positions of need, and corner is obviously one that jumps out, but they're not they don't have a bunch of veterans there that they're losing at corner. All those guys, most of them, have a lot of eligibility left. Yeah. It's the DT position that I look at and say, boy, what can they do with guys like you just mentioned, Wingo, Smith, Guillory? How can you convince guys like that to come back for one more year? Because for me, that's bigger than any high school commit you're going to get. That's bigger than any unknown out of the portal that hasn't even entered yet, we don't even know what the portal holds. So right now it is all about convincing those types of guys to say, hey, look, stay one more year, up your NFL stock, and then see what happens from there.
Shay, do you have any lean on those guys, Smith, Wingo, Guillory?
You asked me 3 years ago what Mason Smith is doing. He's 3 and out. He's 5 stars, number 1 player in Louisiana. He's all this, but I think the reality of it is he missed the whole year, and then he really didn't play, back to any sort of standard that he'd hold himself to until the latter part of this year. So I would hope that he would lean towards coming back. Wingo is a guy I had thought at least for a long time would go. Now he got injured mid-season. Does that affect anything? Would he like to say, hey, I may not be fully healthy for the combine, and maybe it is in my best interest to come back. I don't know what the extent of his surgery is, but does he, sit out the spring and then he has one more season? So I can't tell you for sure which way both are going, but I don't think either of them are done deal leaving. I could see a world where they could get him back. Maybe more likely Smith than Wingo, but that's just a guess of mine.
All right, he's on Twitter at Shay Dixon, on 3 the Bengal Tiger. Portal opens on Monday. Shay, we talked about interior defensive line. Are there any other positions where you know or think LSU will be targeting right when the portal window opens?
It won't surprise me to see him with try to get DB addressed. And look, they took a bunch of corners last year. And in theory, if Zy Alexander could be healthy again, and if you have Sage Ryan back, and now you've got Ashton Stamps and Toviano, and you're bringing in some other corners, like that position group is in a much better place than it was when it started this year, or at least when we got through the midway point and realized, hey, look, your best transfer is hurt. One of your other transfer corners got hurt in preseason, and 2 more basically not even at practice. Like you're in no man's land now and playing true freshman in Sage Ryan. But Brian Kelly talked about it. I agree. I mean, Stamps and Toviano getting that experience is going to help them going into next year. Like that's what you want. You want to be developing these guys that you felt good about coming out of high school into guys who are then starters for you. And obviously, we'll see if Sage being back and does he play corner again or what happens there. Could they take a portal guy? But I would lean more towards safety just because Andre Sam's done with college. Major Burns is on the back of it, end of his college career, obviously. And then we haven't seen much beyond them. I mean, we saw a little bit of Ryan Yates and a little bit of Jordan Allen, but other than that, not a ton. So wouldn't surprise me if they hit safety. Obviously, D-tackle is a position that we're going to look at and be keen on. And then I think that a lot depends on retention. Like Malik Neighbors is going to go pro. Brian Thomas will go pro. I think people are forgetting about Kyron Lacey. Like that's a guy you've got to get to come back. You don't need him to think I can be a 3rd rounder or I could be a 4th rounder and that's good enough and I'm going to go. Yeah. I mean, get him back and be the featured guy or the number 2 or whatever it is. And your receiver room gets a boost and maybe you take 1 transfer receiver. And look, we saw what 2 guys that transferred this year, both from Louisiana that didn't go to LSU, Keon Coleman and Trey Harris. If those guys aren't on Florida State and Ole Miss, LSU beats Ole Miss if Trey Harris isn't on their team. He single-handedly won that game, basically. And Keon Coleman goes out and put up 3 touchdowns on LSU. So you can see what a difference even one player at receiver could make out of the portal. So I'd look at that, and then this is not an anti-Garrett Nussmeier statement. This is a reality statement. You've got to look at the portal for a quarterback, right?
Yes.
Because you're 1 snap away from Ricky Collins, whose only career experience is 2 passes and some handoffs against Grambling State, I guess it was, as your starter. If Garrett Nussmeier goes down at any point or can't play or just tweaks his ankle and is out for a few series in a key SEC game, whatever it is, that's not the position you want to be in. So I would have to think that they're going to at least look through the portal to say, hey, is there a guy out there that we could bring in that we'd feel good about being a backup or I don't know, winning a job, whatever it might be. But you can't go into next year and have Nussmeier and then no experience behind him.
Could not agree more. It's the tool is there to use. Use it. Get depth at the most important position, of course. Before you go, Shay, I opened the show today talking a little bit about Corey Raymond being fired at Florida. I preface it with this, so I'll preface this question to you. LSU has a cornerbacks coach right now with Robert Steeples. If that job comes open, and I'm assuming, as I'm sure everyone is, there are going to be defensive staff changes, would it make sense to bring Corey Raymond back to LSU?
I would, and I don't care. Many people disagree with me, but if there is an opening at that position and Corey Raymond is available among the list of, the options out there, the pool of candidates, 100%. And I know many people, I run a message board. I hear it all. You're on radio, you see the live chats, you get the calls. Well, he left the corner room in shambles. No, they had 38 players. There was a lot more rooms in shambles than the corner room. And they went 500 in back-to-back seasons. It was very tough to recruit when it felt like a dead man walking in that final year of they're going to have their first losing season since 1999 when Jerry DiNardo was replaced by Saban. So there was a lot more going on there than, the cornerback room was shallow. Like, yeah, of course Dwight McGlothern and all these guys transferred out. Their coach wasn't going to be there anymore, and the whole staff was turning over. So I don't look back on that as some negative period, and I more so think, hey, look, I remember 3 stars like Jalen Mills, Cordell Flott, Jay Ward. They sure did play a lot of valuable football for LSU, let alone the high-profile guys that he got to come here. So, yes, if there was any shakeup at corner and Corey Raymond's available and I'm an LSU head coach, I'm 100% giving him a call.
He is Shay Dixon on 3 the Bengal Tiger, on Twitter at Shay Dixon. Shay, you're the best, man. Always appreciate a couple minutes. Thank you.
Anytime, Matt.
Bud, be well. That's Shay Dixon. This is After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana, Bunkie and below. Remember, not just tractors and combines and big, large-scale farm equipment, but they also got your zero-turn mowers and gators. It's hunting season. You need to haul that deer out of the woods. Use a deer. Nothing runs like a deer. John Deere, of course, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana is Sunshine. All right, well, thanks to Shay. Let me knock out a quick break. Come back. We'll talk a little LSU hoops at Syracuse tonight and some beer with Lee Feinswog next.
AFR.
Okay, y'all, it is Christmas time, and it is time to go get those Christmas trees over at Clegg's Nursery. Clegg's has an awesome selection of live Christmas trees. They have the artificial pre-lit trees as well, if that's what you want. But, man, they got some beautiful trees. Erica, Drew, and I went on Black Friday to go pick out the Moscona family Christmas tree. It's up. It's decorated. It is awesome, and they got you covered over at Clegg's Nursery. Amazing selection, not only of Christmas trees, but of poinsettias. They had the poinsettia open house with more than 10,000 poinsettias. That was at the Greenwell Springs location. But they've also got great decor and great gifts as well. If you're thinking about it, they got gift cards for the green thumb on your list. Go pick it up over at Clegg's Nursery. They've got pre-lit trees that some of them, by the way, are 50% off. So you can go shop deals right now and get all your Christmas decor at Clegg's Nursery. Buy local, shop local. Be sure to tell them Matt sent you in to Clegg's Nursery.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
All right. Back from the frozen Northeast. It's our guy, Lee Feinswog. How are you, Lee?
Well, actually, frozen Midwest. I was in Madison, Wisconsin.
I saw your tweet about some guys sitting outside in the snow waiting for a volleyball match to start.
Yeah, they're crazy. The funniest thing is at Wisconsin on the end lines, it's all general admission. So let's just say roughly between, however many rows in the side, it's maybe 800 general admission seats. And they wait, and then the gates open and they come through, and little old ladies with the little rollers, I swear, are among those people running in. And then it's unwritten rules. It's okay to put your jacket out and put your hat here and your gloves there and reserve spots. They're very polite Midwesterners.
Oh, it's really good.
And I had cheese curds.
How could you not? That was when we went up to Lambeau in 2016. The pride they take in their cheese curds. You know what else I learned too? Is if it's a true, authentic, legit cheese curd, that when you bite it, it pops. It makes like a popping sound. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Well, I don't recall whether they popped or not, but I recall that I had some fabulous Wisconsin beers with those cheese curds as well.
You want to share any?
I was in restaurants 2 nights, and I really didn't take notes of what they were, and because I was more concerned with this fabulous beer I have for you in just a little while. Fabulous beer.
I can't wait to hear about it. I do want to ask first, most people are not paying a lick of attention to this LSU basketball team, and I understand why. There are so many incredible storylines going around surrounding football and Jaden Daniels and all that sort of stuff in the Heisman. And the Saints, are they going to fire their coach or not, whatever. And LSU lost to Nichols in basketball, so people are like, yeah, we'll figure it out whenever we do. But they are playing kind of a cool game tonight, and they're playing at Syracuse in the JMA Wireless Dome, formerly the Carrier Dome. And, of course, you're from New York and spent a year up there at Syracuse, a couple years at Syracuse. Give me your thoughts on this game tonight with LSU playing up there in the JMA Wireless Dome.
That name you mentioned, Jaden Daniels, that sounds so familiar. I know I've heard it before this week. So it used to be called the Carrier Dome, and my dorm, the second year I was there and half of the third year, and then I transferred after 2.5 years, actually looked down on what was then Archbold Stadium, which was a big bowl where it's the most uncomfortable I've ever been at a football game, was inside the old Archbold Stadium. And then they hollowed it out and built the Carrier Dome right there. It's pretty cool place. The last time that LSU played Syracuse was in Syracuse in 1985. I was hired and started at the Baton Rouge, then Morning Advocate, on December 3rd, 1984. And I should note, with the idea that I'd stick around here a year or two. But as you know, Matt, Baton Rouge, the Hotel California, you can check out anytime you want, but you can never leave. So I was there just a couple of months, and I was getting to cover a little bit of LSU basketball, but they were still trying to figure out what to do with me. And LSU was making a trip to Tennessee and then on to Syracuse. And the sports editor, Butch Muir, was kind enough to let me take one of those spots on that trip so I could get to go back to Syracuse. I hadn't been back there since leaving, 10 years earlier. And it was really fun. They had played in the old Manley Fieldhouse when I was there. And I think I've told you this before, but when I was there, the head coach left to go to Tulane, Roy Danforth. And Jim Boeheim, who was an assistant, got the job as the head coach. So it was really cool to see a game in the Carrier Dome, which at the time was the most massive place that anybody was playing indoor basketball. the Syracuse team won 76-64, and the LSU team, I remember, just sort of gobsmacked at the whole idea. I mean, it was just quite a thing. Though, that you remember weird things from trips, Matt, and sporting events.
Sure.
So the night before, of course, it's about, near zero. We're cold as hell, and doing just like I did when I was in college, going out and drinking too much and going to a place they had there called the Varsity. And I look across the Varsity and I see a guy whose name was Skosh. I have no idea to this day, or when he lived next door to me in that aforementioned dorm, what his real name was. It was just he went by Skosh. He was also blind.
You've told us the story about the blind guy named Skosh.
Yeah, interesting fella, and probably the biggest drug dealer on campus, and good guy though. I liked him, and always never had to worry about the smell of reefer not being there. And I
Musa's kind of guy.
Now, I hadn't seen the guy in 10 years,
425.
right?
Of course, it's perfect to talk about Skosh, the drug dealer.
There you go. Hadn't seen the guy in 10 years. Walk up to him and I said, Skosh? And he goes, yes. And I said, I'm a blast from your past. He says, say another sentence or two. And I do. And he goes, Lee Feinswog. And that is amazing, which, is part of the amazing part of how someone loses a sense and gains better in the other. Anyway,
what? I think you've told us that story, and I think it probably was when the only thing I think of, Lee, is you would have told me that story in 2016 or 2015 when LSU went and played Syracuse in football there. I mean, that has to be the only time, yeah?
Hey, I can recycle stories now and then.
Yeah, look, man, eight years removed, yes.
Yeah, what the heck? And you don't bring me on here for nuts and bolts. I mean, let's be serious, right?
That's true.
In fact, for that matter, you wonder why you bring me on here.
No, I bring you on here to talk about beer.
Football coach today.
I bring you on here to talk about beer and inane stories about a drug dealer named Skosh. That's why and like the water polo story when you went to Japan and an old man died in a pool. Like that's why you're here. I'm gonna get something memorable out of you. Nothing at all valid with respect to sports, just really good stories in beer, and I'm here for it every single week.
Syracuse hired its football coach today, a guy named Fran Brown, who's coached at Baylor. I think he's been at Georgia, and good luck to him.
Is Georgia right now?
I constantly always refer to the great line when ESPN2 launched, and they pointed to Keith Olbermann, and he said, "Welcome to the end of my career."
Where he's wearing a black leather jacket.
Yeah, but so at Syracuse, the football program, there was a legendary coach named was it Schwartz?
Legendary.
Schwartz, not Schwarzenegger. A legendary coach would coach there 25 years. Had his first losing season the year I got there as a freshman, and it's all been downhill since. They've had a couple of really nice runs since then, but the Donovan McNabb years were good, and a couple here, a couple there. But it's the Northeast just can't compete with certain regions of the country, especially this part of the world, and sports like that, and just doesn't. But in basketball, they're real good. Real good win for LSU basketball over Wake Forest. I don't care what the deal was for either team. They needed that. Are you kidding me? That trip they made, Charleston lost to Dayton close, and then beat North Texas and beat Wake Forest, and thank goodness for them. And then on Friday, beat North Florida, which I can imagine that was probably a throw out the record books kind of game. But
all right, give me a thought on this ball game. Both teams are 4-2. Syracuse is 3-0 at home. This is LSU's first true road game of the season. And honestly, Lee, it's the SEC ACC Challenge. It's on ESPN2. It's at 6 o'clock, so in 90 minutes from now, as soon as we're off the air, the game starts. So it is kind of a cool stage and setting an opportunity for LSU on a night where you don't have football, right? So it's a good opportunity for them to maybe get a little run if they can go up there and play well.
Didn't you mean to say it's a really good night that we don't have volleyball? Because tomorrow night starts the NIT version of volleyball, the NIVC, and then Thursday is the start of the NCAA tournament, which is 16 matches all day. So I know that's what you meant to say.
No,
but
not at all.
I'm looking forward to seeing these guys play and watching LSU, and it's on a real network, and cool.
He's Lee Feinswog. He's on Twitter at Lee Fealk. You can find him there. Make sure you subscribe up to the Sports 225 YouTube channel for all the shows. Do you have a guest this week?
I don't know. I haven't. I think I'm going with the best of. I'm really busy this week, and it's cold, and I got so much beer to drink for you to sample. I just,
I mean,
it's just it's one of those weeks.
I want to grow up and be Lee Feinswog, where I just travel
Did you
around
get to
the
see
world.
this?
Hold on. I want to grow up to be Lee Fealk, where I travel around the world. I don't want to watch volleyball, but I'll travel around the world, drink a lot of beers, and just kind of do whatever I want to do. That's a good life, man. You got a good life.
I can't complain. What Scott Rabelais one year referred to me as, I think, a bon vivant in a column, which someone who enjoys the good life, which I appreciated that.
That's very
good.
good.
I've been very lucky how it's all worked out. It's kind of like the blind squirrel finding a acorn, and that's the way. I'd rather be lucky than good, and I've always been lucky. But they do say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So
that's true. I have one more legitimate question, then we'll talk about beer. Number one is so there's this debate right now with Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix, and the question is, the most outstanding player or best player, best team sort of thing. Where do you fall?
I saw an interesting tweet from one of the voters, and I can't remember who it was, a prominent football writer. I wish I could remember. I saw this, I think, yesterday. He said, I'm voting early because I don't think it's fair for the guys who don't get to play in a conference championship game to not be credited for what they've done up to that point.
I think it was Russ Mitchell.
But on the other hand, that belies the argument about, if you're on a better team, you get more opportunities, you get a chance to do better. Certainly what this kid's done is phenomenal. And I have, no problem for anybody saying they voted for him now and they're not waiting. But again, like I've said the whole time, you've got to play it out. So these games coming up Saturday, these championship games, they matter.
Yeah.
So they just do. And, but I can't see how somebody would have to, it's down to him and Bo Nix, right? I mean, it's pretty much those two.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nix would just have to go off in a Jaden Daniels kind of way to secure it, I would think. I have to think Jaden Daniels is if I were a voter and it was down to those two people, I would have to vote for Jaden Daniels.
I'll be very interested because the public money on the betting sites has gone toward Bo Nix. So the odds have gone toward Bo Nix. But the public has been wrong before, and we'll find out a week from Saturday. In the meantime, I will be there in New York City, Lee, at the Heisman presentation.
Are you really?
Yeah. Finalized that trip. Credential approval came in today. So we'll be doing AFR from New York City next Friday. And then we'll do a specialty show leading up to the Heisman presentation on that Saturday. And while I'm there, I'll have some downtime. So no doubt I will be in New York City enjoying some fine beer. I need recommendations.
New York beers.
Makes me think I'm a man. I could kiss and hug it, but I'd rather chuck it. Got my belly out to here. I could not refuse it. I could really use a beer.
Take it away.
Well, I've been sampling quite a few of them lately. It's that time of year, but I really, really like this one. St. Arnold out of Houston, the Christmas Ale. I think it first came around in like 1995, and they come out with it each year. This year's version,
beautiful.
It's only available October to December. A rich copper-colored hearty ale, perfect for the holiday season with a malty sweetness and a spicy hop character. The generous use of 5 different malts is responsible for the full flavor and high alcohol level of this beer. And the high alcohol level is 7.5. Here's what I liked about. Here's what I liked about this beer the most is, you know how much I like Marzans and Oktoberfest type beers.
Yes.
This is very much like that, but it's got a little bit of a spice, and it had almost like a little harsh bite to an aftertaste that I really liked. And a lot of times you think that's just the opposite of what you would like. It had a little sweetness to it, but then it had a little kick, and I really enjoyed it. I drank 2 of them, and so at 7.5%, I got my money's worth. But really, really good. If you can pick this one up, St. Arnold Christmas Ale. I know it's at most retailers around town. Recommend it strongly.
Love it. All right. Don't check the Sports 225 YouTube channel looking for a news show this week. It's going to be a best of.
More importantly, follow me either on Twitter or Facebook. You don't have to follow me; just look at it, and that's I put up there who's been on, and I hope you got to see the one with Steve Schneider. That was really good and fun. Matt, this is my pleasure. Thank you for letting me talk about the Orangemen and reviving some blast from the past in my brain.
I'm just glad we got to make a weed joke from you. So thanks, Lee.
Bye, Matt.
See ya. It's After Further Review. We'll continue.
AFR.
Brought to you by Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Get Gordon and get it done. All right, y'all. Clock is ticking. We've been telling you now for several weeks that Gordon has launched the Gordon Gives holiday bike giveaway again this year. 488 bicycles he's given away to children all across the state of Louisiana. I want to remind you, the entry period is coming up here soon. So for Baton Rouge and Hammond, you have until December the 7th. If you're in Alexandria, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Monroe, Shreveport, the entry deadline is November the 30th. So it's in 2 days, okay? So Thursday is the deadline for Alec, Lafayette, Lake Charles, Monroe, and Shreveport. So go to GordonGives.com. Really easy. GordonGives.com. You'll see right there on the homepage the form that you'll fill out to enter to win a bicycle this Christmas from Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You know what to do. Go to GordonGives.com. Get Gordon, get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and Citizens Bank and Trust invite you to bling in the holidays. Register today at 1045ESPN.com to win a $10,000 custom piece of jewelry handcrafted by Stuart Selassie himself. Bling in the holidays with Citizens Bank and Trust, Selassie Jewelry, and 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Could the SEC miss the college football playoff altogether? I don't know if you've taken a look at this, but There's a real chance that in the final year of the 4-team college football playoff that the SEC could get left out. Before you roll your eyes and think that this is just lip service and talking points, consider this, okay? Right now, you've got 3 unbeaten teams. Excuse me, 4. You have 4 unbeaten teams. You got Ohio. You have Georgia, which plays Alabama. You've got Michigan, which plays Iowa. You've got undefeated Washington, which will play Oregon, and then undefeated Florida State, which plays Louisville. So you got 4 undefeated teams. Now, obviously, if all 4 win, then Georgia's in the playoff. This really comes into play if Alabama upsets Georgia. So just follow this along with me. If Bama upsets Georgia, Washington, Michigan, Florida State all win. You'd have 3 unbeaten Power 5 conference champions. Can we all agree they're all in, right? There's some conversation about whether or not Florida State would be in because of the Jordan Travis injury, but you can't penalize, and I don't suspect they would penalize Florida State because of Jordan Travis's injury. If they're undefeated, they beat Louisville, they win the conference championship game. It may affect where they're seated among the 4, but they would be among the 4. So the real question then would be, if you had undefeated Michigan, undefeated Washington, undefeated Florida State, who's the 4th team? Would you have 1-loss Georgia, 1-loss Alabama, or 1-loss Texas? So if Texas goes on to beat Oklahoma State, then that's your other conundrum. Because Bama would have a head-to-head against Georgia. They would both be 12-1, and Bama would have just beaten them and won the SEC. But Texas would also be 12-1, a conference champion, who won in Tuscaloosa head-to-head against Bama. So wouldn't Texas get the draw? That, for me, is a really bizarre potential scenario, but a scenario nonetheless that we could see play out. Now, I think there's a chance, I don't know if it's a great chance, but there's a chance that Bama beats Georgia. I think most of us are leaning Georgia in that game, although Georgia's never beaten Alabama in the SEC championship game. I think most likely we see Oregon beat Washington. The question would be really interesting then if 1-loss Oregon, or if 1-loss Oregon would get in over 1-loss Washington when they each would have beaten each other and handed themselves their own loss. Would the regular season game or the Pac-12 title game be the one that carried more weight? Be interesting to see what the committee did there. But I legitimately think that if we end up with a scenario that we just described, where Bama beats Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Texas all win, that the SEC's left out. If Bama were to get in, and I don't think Bama would be in over, or excuse me, I don't think Georgia would be in over Bama. If Bama beats Georgia, you can't justify putting Georgia in ahead of Alabama. They'd have the same record. Bama would have the head-to-head and the SEC championship. But could you jump could you jump Bama from 8 all the way up into the top 4? And there's no scenario whereby it would make sense jumping Alabama over any of the undefeated conference champions or a 1-loss Texas Big 12 champion that has a head-to-head against Alabama. I don't think Washington is going to beat Oregon. That's the unfortunate. I think Michigan will beat Iowa. I do think Florida State will beat Louisville. I think those two will be in. I think Oregon is going to beat Washington. I'm pulling like hell for Washington because I want to see Bo Nix turn into Bad Bo, throw like 3 interceptions, and Washington just go house Oregon. You know what I would love to see? I would love to see a repeat of 2003 LSU Georgia, where LSU beat Georgia in a close game in Tiger Stadium, and everybody said, the better team lost that day. Wait for the rematch. Got the rematch, and LSU just housed Georgia in the SEC championship game. I would love to see that again. I would love to see Washington just absolutely annihilate Oregon. I don't know that I believe it's going to happen because Washington's defense isn't very good and Oregon's offense is very efficient right now. But that's my hope, is that Washington wins that game, just pounds Oregon, and Jaden wins the Heisman. But I think most likely what we see happen is Michigan win, Oregon win, Florida State win, and it would be fascinating to see if you did end up with a couple of one-loss Pac-12 teams and a couple of one-loss SEC teams. One-loss Oregon, one-loss Washington, one-loss Georgia, one-loss Alabama. Who would get that last spot if you had undefeated Michigan, undefeated Florida State in those two spots? If Texas presumably would get in, who would get, or if you just had undefeated Michigan, undefeated Florida State, who among the one-loss would get the other teams? One-loss Washington, one-loss Oregon, one-loss Alabama, one-loss Georgia, one-loss Texas. You'd have 5 teams for two spots. And you know what's going to be amazing to see? You know what's going to be amazing to see? A year from now when this conversation doesn't matter a damn bit. Because we'll actually be able to decide. We'll actually be able to play football games on the field and decide it. Instead of having to debate which one-loss team should be in. I got an idea. Let's go play games on the field. Wouldn't that be fun? We're a year away, y'all. But wouldn't it be bizarre? The SEC has won 13 of the last 17 national championships, and it's been 5 different schools. Georgia, Bama, LSU, Florida, Auburn. It's been 5 different schools. 13 of the last 17. Wouldn't it be bizarre if in the final year of the 14 playoff, the SEC wasn't in it? There's a scenario, and it's not that far-fetched if it were to play out that way. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Energy-efficient replacement windows, beautiful entry doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. They do it all over at Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com, so check them out online. Or, remember, go by and see the Relief Windows showroom. Tell you all the time about my experience with Brandon Holly and the gang over at Relief Windows. In both of the homes that Eric and I have lived in since we've been married, we've had Relief come out and install energy-efficient replacement windows. From the first home we had where Drew's bedroom faced the street, so we had a noise-canceling window installed right there to help reduce the noise by his window, to the home we live in now where the back is just a wall of windows that faces our entire back, and it just that room gets so hot during the summertime, so we installed those energy-efficient windows there to help lower the temperature in that room, and it's just beautiful as well. The picture windows installed. Whatever it may be, and they do shutters now as well. It's Relief Windows, ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Hey, speaking of bowls, did you hear about the Pop-Tart Bowl? Pretty excited about this. Do you love Pop-Tarts, Muse? Do you love Pop-Tarts, Paulie?
Yeah, I do like Pop-Tarts. They're pretty good.
Paul, do you love Pop-Tarts?
I do.
What's your favorite Pop-Tart?
Mine's a blueberry.
With the icing or no?
Yes.
Muse?
Strawberry.
With the icing or no?
Absolutely.
See, I don't love the icing on a Pop-Tart.
Okay.
I love the blueberry Pop-Tart with no icing. Strawberry Pop-Tart, no icing. You know what else I love?
What's that?
The s'mores Pop-Tart.
That thing is solid. Wait, do you get no icing on that?
No, I get it. That has to have
Okay, I was
icing
about
because
to
it doesn't
say.
make sense without it. But I'm talking about the other two. Man, I used to eat Pop-Tarts every day of my life when I started in radio. In 2003, I was board hopping on WIBR. It was like a morning news wheel show. Don Grady anchored it. Don Grady's the man. Mentioned Don not long ago, and someone told him that we mentioned him. He reached out to me. I love Don Grady. He's just a great man. And I would bring Pop-Tarts every day. And I would eat Pop-Tarts at like 5 in the morning. And then Don was such an awesome dude that he recognized that was my ritual. And so what happened, I would start to get there, and he was there well before me. He'd have the sports section folded and Pop-Tarts sitting on top of the sports section.
Solid.
Waiting for me right there at the console. I mean, just you want to talk about it, just one of the best dudes ever. Well, anyway, all that to say, so the Cheez-It Bowl, not the Citrus Bowl, but the Cheez-It Bowl that Florida State won last year, it's been, what was it before? Champ Sports Bowl?
Sports, that's the one I remember the most.
It's been several things. The Cheez-It Bowl is now the Pop-Tart Bowl. And so the mascot is, can we get a picture? Can you find I need you to find me a picture of this, Paulie. The Pop-Tart Bowl mascot is going to be edible. I don't know. I really don't know how that's going to work. Like, how would a Pop-Tart Bowl mascot be edible? Like, is it going to be like an edible suit that somebody's in?
That's what I'm thinking. Or maybe it's just like a cutout. I don't know. I'm really intrigued to see this. Like, are the players just going to be on stage with the trophy taking bites out of this mascot?
Man, look, they get the oranges, out of the Orange Bowl trophy. We've seen edible trophies and mascots and things like that before. But last year, the Cheez-Its, the Duke Mayo, where they pour the mayo.
That's so good.
It's really weird. Look, there it is. Here, Paulie, here it is. Pull it up if you would. That can't possibly be the real thing. This looks like it's got a face.
That looks cartoonish.
That can't be it. But it's an edible mascot. We'll see. New layer of intrigue to the Pop-Tart Bowl. And who says bowls aren't meaningless exercises, right, Muse?
Yeah, right.
It's $4.49. I bet Muse could go for some Pop-Tarts right now. Munchies. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Rouse's. You know where you can get Pop-Tarts? Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. You making groceries? Rouse's has been helping you make groceries for 60 years. You go to Rouse's.com. You can download the Rouse's app. Remember, we have delivery and curbside pickup options. The curbside pickup, that's when you can use your own personal shopper. Go to the app, pick out your items. Your personal shopper picks out your items for you. You pull up in one of the designated spots. They bring it out to you. Spend $35. The service is free. It's at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Y'all, we are getting toward Christmas. If you go to the website, they have a great leftovers guide. If you have a lot of leftovers from Thanksgiving, wondering what to do, they got you covered. You want gumbo recipes, they got them on the homepage as well. Check it out at Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints for more than 100 years. But they've been helping you make groceries for 60 years. It's Rouse's. From Lake Charles all the way to Orange Beach, Alabama, and points in between. It's Rouse's, the official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints. Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find them on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Wrapping up hour number 2, Muso. Tigers and the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now. Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where Baton Rouge gets engaged.
All right, we'll start with the NFL. Monday Night Football last night. A bit of a snooze fest, but Danielle Hunter was all over the field. You know that if you watched the game. 9 tackles, heading tied for the team lead. Sack and a half in the game. 3 hits on the quarterback in total, but the sack and a half now gives him 13 and a half on the season, which ties him for the NFL lead with TJ Watt. In more Minnesota Vikings news, they activated Justin Jefferson off of injured reserve today. This was the final day he could be activated, so maybe not a huge surprise with the news. Vikings have a bye coming up in Week 14. Jefferson is expected to play when they return from the bye. Joe Burrow underwent successful surgery on his wrist today. Bengals released a statement. The procedure went as planned. Expected to make a complete recovery. He'll be back in Cincinnati this week with the team. And lastly, Duop Reith contributed 4 points off the bench last night for the Portland Trail Blazers.
Okay.
That's Tigers in the Pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. You know where to find them with locations all over the place. 2 in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and online at lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, it's after further review. Sports Center's coming up. We'll get you caught up on national headlines when we come back. Visit with Sean Salsbury. We look forward to it as always. It's next, AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills makes it easy on you, and they value you. It's maybe the best thing that I could say about Shawbills. So many times when people, you go to an auto service spot or a place where you're going to try to buy tires, because so many of us aren't mechanics and we don't know what we're looking at, we have to trust the people that are working on our vehicle. That's why I love talking about Shawbills, because for more than 60 years, or almost 60 years now, for more than 50 years, since 1968, Shawbills has treated you like family. From the time they opened their door, that's been their premise. We're just going to do the right things. Like, they have a customer bill of rights. It's things that they feel like you as a customer are entitled to every time you walk in. They have the Charlie's Dozen, a dozen benefits extended to you and your family when you buy tires at Shawbills. They just treat you right, and that's why people come back year after year after year. It's Shawbills. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
I'm Chris Nakamoto, and here's what I'm working on for my stories on WBRZ Channel 2 tonight. We have new information about botched security upgrades that didn't happen at the East Baton Rouge Parish Juvenile Detention Facility, as money sat there unspent, tied up in government red tape. This month alone, 2 different escapes happened involving violent juveniles. Now, security upgrades are being forced to be made. I'm Chris Nakamoto from WBRZ. Watch more tonight on WBRZ Channel 2.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news, running back Jonathan Taylor will miss part of the Colts' playoff push. He'll undergo thumb surgery tomorrow. The team hopes he misses at most 2 to 3 weeks. Indy currently 7th in the AFC. Panthers owner David Tepper, in the wake of the firing of coach Frank Reich, defended himself, insisted he does have patience, would ideally like to hire a head coach to be in Carolina the next 20 to 30 years. He gave no direct explanation as to why they fired Reich. He has made 3 midseason head coaching changes since 2019. NBA Warriors welcome back Draymond Green to the lineup tonight against the Kings. Returns after serving a 5-game suspension for putting Minnesota's Rudy Gobert in a headlock November 14th. Golden State went 2-3 without Green. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst.
They're going to definitely welcome Draymond back and then right into regular minutes, according to Coach Steve Kerr. And they were 23rd in the league in defense during this 5-game stretch Draymond was out. So obviously, him coming back is going to help them immediately on that end of the court.
Former Arkansas football coach Bobby Petrino has agreed to return to the Razorbacks to become their next offensive coordinator, reports ESPN's Chris Lowe.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yusu. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you're driving home with us. Have a great pleasure every single week to visit with our buddy Sean Salsbury on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Sean, thanks as always, man. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. How are you?
It was awesome. Thanks. Same to you. I'm doing well. Good to be on with you.
Thanks, man. Let's get to college in the next segment. I want to start in the NFL. I want to start with the big news with Carolina firing Frank Reich. It's obviously super relevant here because they're an NFC South team. Can I just start open-ended, like your reaction to the decision, not only the decision, but the timing, man? 11 games into year one with Frank Reich.
Dave Tepper, that's who he is. He's volatile. He's rich, as a lot of that's Captain Obvious statement, billionaire. He's not, I think on his soccer, I think he owns a soccer club too, and I think he's fired a couple people there too. I don't think there's a lot of patience with his team now. I know he loves his football, but that's why I always say let the football guys handle the football, but it's his team. I don't know if necessarily it's just 1 in 10, Matt, the reason they fired him. I think they saw nil progress with zero with what they were doing offensively, because you get rid of Josh McCown and Deuce Staley, and Deuce Staley obviously held in very high regard in the assistant coaching ranks and in the National Football League. So I think it's impatient. I think when you see and I think C.J. Stroud's success had a lot to do with it. I do. You look over there, the guy was drafted after you. Bryce Young was supposed to be better. And I'm not willing to quit on a quarterback 11 games in, especially on that team, Matty. I'm just not. I know how tough the position is to play. I made it look tough at times. But even then, great players. Yeah, great players, Matty. Listen, if I told you that Pat Mahomes was going to be a Carolina Panther, but they weren't going to build any players around him over the next 7, 8 years, they're not going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They may get to 8, 9, 10, we get in the playoffs, but they're not going to get to the level that they want to get to. So we got to give a guy, and especially since Bryce Young's not going to be that guy, I don't think, that loads you up and carries you for 6 or 8 weeks. I think he's going to be a really good player. And Frank Reich knows quarterbacks. Listen, we're way too impatient. We are. 10, 11 games in is unfathomable, and unless there's something going on in the building we don't know about, just on X's and O's and wins and losses, it's ridiculous. And all of a sudden we're going to fire Jonathan Gannon because they're not very good in Arizona either, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have to get rid of him, and we go down the line. I think there's got to be a little more patience, especially with a guy like Frank who's been in the league a while. Or, I also think that a lot of us felt that Steve Wilks should have kept that job. I thought he did a good job as an interim coach. But regardless, to me, it's a bit premature and outlandish that you knew going in you weren't going to be very good. But I think it simply comes down with the way they have fired is the progress with the quarterback. Because I think you knew you were going to win 3, 4, 5 games if you were fortunate. And the progress of Bryce Young, you're high priced, and they're sold on him. So they felt like there was no development. I think it's premature, and I think it's a little bit overboard, but that's where we are. Everything's instant gratification. He reserves that right. He's the owner. And if you feel like you're not seeing 1 ounce of progress and it's going south, not north, I get why you do it. Frank will be employed again if he wants. He may not get a head coaching job anytime soon, but it's the NFL. If you haven't been fired, you will. And Frank's had a rough go of it because the quarterback didn't play well at the end in Indianapolis, Carson Wentz. This offense isn't moving, and the coach takes the brunt of it because you damn well know the first pick of the draft's not going to take the brunt of it right now. That's for sure.
Yeah. Is it realistic, Sean, to think you're going to see material progress through 11 games?
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, Matty, please finish.
That was the question. Like, can you really tell progress through 11 games on a team that, as we just talked, there's nothing around him. I mean, you trade away DJ Moore, you trade Christian McCaffrey, there's just nothing there. He's been sacked 50-something times. It's a terrible roster, man.
It's survival, Matt. Think about how we felt about Jacksonville, even with Trevor Lawrence there when Urban Meyer was there. Think about that and how, they had the first pick of the draft a couple years in a row, and then now it's turning around. Look what happens when you get your running back ETN healthy. You go out and grab Christian Kirk, Zay Jones. You start at the physicality like a Josh Allen coming into his own who's dominating the defensive end edge rusher Josh Allen. I mean, they went out Evan Ingram. They got some players. And look, all of a sudden the quarterback just seems to get better. The truth of the matter is what Bryce Young's going through is that's the normal part. Manning is a rookie. Aikman in Dallas is a rookie. Elway getting knocked around. But the simple fact that the guy behind him's having so much success, that had to, as I said, bleed into this because you're saying, well, why is he making progress? Well, I like to think the roster, when you go around, Tunsil's pretty good. Their front seven's pretty decent. They've got Stingley. They've got, Petrie. They've got some decent players. Their run game, at least 3 of the 4 last 4 weeks has improved. They're they've had a bunch of first rounders over the years. Look at what Tank Dell and the group's doing. They've had some upgrades, so it's easier. And then you get a freak show at quarterback. It's different. And let's just face the facts right now. C.J. Stroud's farther along, and as a thrower, he's always been a better pure thrower of the football. And listen, when you're on Alabama may be able to line up and play a couple quarters with Carolina, at least hang around when Bryce Young was there. So, yeah, I think it's absolutely ludicrous we'd expect. What C.J. Stroud's doing is not normal. What Bryce Young is doing should be around the norm for young quarterbacks that are getting their rear end handed to him. He's been sacked, 40-plus times and hit about 100 more. Yeah. So that's the norm. But Dave Tepper beats to a different drum than most owners. He's not willing to give you a second year. I don't know what he has in mind for his next head coach, but if you're expecting next year Carolina to come back and all of a sudden win 14 games and be in the Super Bowl, you better strap it on for patience again or impatience because it's not going to happen. So the Texans have had success, but Stroud's the outlier. What you're seeing Bryce Young go through is usually the norm for the first pick of the draft. Why? He's being picked first because your team sucked. Yeah. That's exactly why he's being picked first.
He's on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Which organization would you rather be right now? The Panthers with Bryce Young, but not a great roster and no head coach, or the Saints, who are at best stuck in neutral, at worst backsliding?
For people that love high draft picks, they're going to say Carolina. I mean, love that, because you're in purgatory, right, Matty? You're a team that probably they're not Super Bowl ready. They've got some really good veterans, a mix of some talented young players, Olave, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a fan base, you're saying, and you're also saying, well, the first pick of the draft, Carolina, can we get one more guy to help Bryce Young? Well, I don't think one's enough. I think they're going to have a great draft and a good off season to even get to 6 or 7. It's going to take the 2-year transformation. The Saints, with a player or two, they still should win the damn division if they could stop and not give up 250 yards of rushing and quarterback throw. But it was so Saints-like, right, Matty?
Yes.
High percentage completion, looked good statistically with Carr on paper, throws a pick. You get boat raced on a time when you're usually a pretty good defense. I mean, better than pretty good. And yet Atlanta makes it look too easy, and Ritter and the run game. You're like, whoa, wait a second. This is not supposed to happen. Well, it did. And he didn't have enough offense to overcome that. So with that in mind, I would rather be the Saints. I think the volatility of the owner is different. I am going to be in a position somehow, some way. I've got to put myself in position to get the next future quarterback. Plus, right now, I've got players that are playoff roster worthy, and they still may make the playoffs and win the division.
Yeah.
So for me, just because you get that first pick of the draft, if you continue to play like Carolina has, okay, so you got a player. Great. Now, can you have success in the other rounds and however many draft picks they got? I'd rather be the Saints. I think there's more stability. I don't think it's as volatile on the ownership. There's some decisions in the front office and coaching that are going to need to be made. But both organizations are going to make wholesale changes. I think when it comes to coaching, I don't think either staff is going to be included next year. There may be a coach or two that stick around, but both of them, I think, are going to have a lot of changes. So I'd rather be the Saints because I'm closer to winning, because that first pick next year, it's not going to be a quarterback, even though you may think that you'd like Caleb Williams more. You're going to go get an edge rusher, a home run hitter for him, a big-time playmaker, an offensive lineman, whatever it is. I'd rather be the Saints because I like more wins, and one draft pick doesn't assure me of anything. And if you like security as a player or coach, Carolina is not the place to be right now with the owner.
Sean, last thing, what if Gail Benson brings back Dennis Allen? Where do you stand? Like, because this is the big conundrum that the Saints fan base has right now, and you just spoke to it, which is you still could win a bad division, but you're not close to a championship.
Agreed.
And people are like, are you playing out the string? So what if you go 8-9, 9-8, you win a bad division? Where does that leave you? Like, what if they do bring back Dennis Allen next year?
Well, first of all, if they do, then they're looking for a very minimal amount of energy in the offseason and probably average buy-in from fan base and players. Listen, when I say this, and I don't need to qualify this, and I don't need to explain myself for crap about Dennis Allen. I think Dennis is a really good defensive coach. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. You'll get close with Carr. You'll get close. When I say close, meaning you get to January, it's not happening. I've stated that on this show before.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to play in February under the current regime. Some guys just don't get buy-in, and the leadership's different. Does that mean Dennis isn't a good coach or not a good guy? Absolutely not. But when I say buy-in, I'm not talking about buy-in from one side of the ball or 80% or 75%. I'm talking about buy-in from a team and an organization and a fan base, even though the fan base buys in when you start to win. I think we've seen enough to know right now with Dennis's group that they're not maximizing the room. And I say this a lot. If you can't maximize the room, I don't care how far you can throw it as a quarterback. I don't care what your stats look like. I don't care as a coach that everybody likes you in a press conference or that, man, the energetic practices in the meeting room, it's all fun and games. But I got to have results, and I got to get buy-in, and I got to have everybody on that page. Dennis can lead a Super Bowl defense. I just think, for me, even colleges, Matty, when I'm looking at a coach right now, I don't need an X's O's head coach. I've already got that. Most of them are good enough to handle X's and O's. I can go handle X's and O's today on any system in the country. Not arrogant, but I can. The question is, is the leadership, the buy-in, and the maximizing the players, the assistants, the equipment room. Is it there? And to me, I think I've seen enough evidence in New Orleans that it's not. I mean, how many times are we going to go over this? Liking a guy's one thing, but winning's another. Listen, Mr. Congeniality or Miss Congeniality aren't assuring me a national title or Super Bowl, depending on what level I'm playing at. So while I like Dennis, and I hate saying this because I know how hard the coaching position is, but sometimes leadership's just straight DNA. And I don't think looking at them that it says to me, everybody's running through a wall for him. So if you want to come back and run it back the same way next year, you'll run to the wall. You may knock a few bricks out, but I don't think you're running the whole stone or the brick over. You're going to try to go around it, over it. I think there's too many holes in that part of it. Would I, if I'm a head coach, interview Dennis as my defense coordinator? Absolutely. But my head coach has to be CEO, buy-in, hire great assistants. I don't give a fuzzy rat's ass about his X's and O's. He's already proven to me along the line he knows X's and O's. That's why I hired him. But I got to have my number one priority. If you get leadership and you get buy-in, the rest will fall into place if you know how to hire assistant coaches and put your ego aside and let them coach. So I like Dennis. He's a good coach. He is not a great head coach. I've seen this movie, just like the quarterbacks who aren't the elite ones, where guys just kind of hover in the middle. They get by. Is the Saints' goal to get by and just get to January? If it is, keep him on staff. Keep the same guys, bring Carr back, and let's go. And go win 9 games or 10 games and get to the playoffs. But you're going to get knocked in the mouth by teams that have more buy-in, better leadership, better players. So if that's what you want, great. But I know one thing. If I don't have full buy-in from the quarterback, that everybody's buying into the guy under center and the guy who's leading on the sidelines, then you might as well stick your head between your legs and kiss your rear and goodbye, because you ain't getting to where you want to go unless January is your destination. Have at it. I know damn well there's about 6 or 8 teams in this league that January is not good enough, and the Saints should have that same mentality. I hope they do. I like Dennis. He'll be a coach for a long time. I just don't think head coaching's in his long-time future, at least in New Orleans. There's still much to prove.
We've had church. Pass the plate. We can all go home now.
There you go, brother.
My fuzzy rat's ass has to go to break. We'll be back with Sean Salsbury next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Hey, I want to remind you, if you're a commercial building owner, if you have a flat or metal roof, Hudco has a silicone coating product. Recently, we coated the roof over at the Drusilla Shopping Center. Tons of commercial jobs, retirement homes, hospitals. Learn more. If you have a flat or metal roof and you got issues with it, you're wondering what to do, listen, a roof replacement could be very, very expensive. Hudco has a silicone coating product that's roughly half the cost of a roof replacement and comes with a 20-year warranty. Be done worrying about your roof for 20 years at half the cost with Hudco Roofing. Do business with someone you know. Hudco Roofing and HudcoRoofing.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The interior of an Infiniti is thoughtfully designed to be all about you. And by you, we mean every version of you. Because there's luxury you can feel, and there's luxury that lets you feel. Infinitely you. Experience luxury like never before with Infiniti Premium Care, included with the 2023 QX80 at your local retailer.
The best kept secret.
From the fuel that fills your truck to the coffee in your cup. Don't think.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
We appreciate our friends over at Sunshine from Bunkie and below. You want a Deere, you're doing business with Sunshine. 17 locations, sunequip.com, sunequip.com. Visiting with Sean Salsbury as we do every single Tuesday here during football season. He's on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Sean, a lot of people here in purple and gold are going to be keeping a keen eye Friday night on the Pac-12 championship game. You have a lot of Husky fans, the other purple and gold in this region, mostly pulling against Bo Nix, obviously. If you would give me a thought on that game, Oregon's is a favorite in the rematch here. What does Washington have to do to pull that upset? Oh, we got you muted, Sean. Sorry about that.
Good call by you. Match defensive intensity, Matty. And I can understand why LSU fans are rooting for Washington for one huge reason in particular, and that reason's going to matter this weekend. The extra game. Everybody's watching. We'll get to that talk, I'm sure, in a second. But as far as that game goes, I'll tell you what, I'm a little surprised. It ought to tell you how the gambling world or Vegas setting the lines feels who's playing better with the eye test right now. I mean, they're almost a double-digit favorite.
Yeah.
After, when they played them in the regular season, that game came down to a final drive and Penix making a couple great throws at the end when Dan Lanning went for it at a time he probably shouldn't have gone for it, and they'd have had an eye. I mean, that was gutsy, and I love that he trusts his team, but it ended up backfiring on that one. I think this is 2 coaching staffs that are really good. Defensive stops, so with all the offense we have in mind, Penix is probably 3rd or so in the Heisman voting. It's Bo Nix and obviously Jaden at the top. Oregon's playing better. If Washington wins, they are going to make it as 13-0. They're going. If Oregon wins, there's a few more scenarios that may come into play. I do think the Pac-12 champ is going to go regardless, especially even Oregon with one loss. If they do win by double digits on Friday, they're going to go. Both teams are high-powered. I like right now the way there's a little more smoothness and rhythm to what Dan Lanning's Oregon team's doing offensively, and I like the defensive stops. I think this is still a high-scoring game in the 30s. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. It's Vegas, so it doesn't matter. It's not like it was in San Francisco, right? Yeah. Back in the day when it was in Levi Stadium in Northern California. So it won't matter. So it'll be on a fast track. But the crazy thing about it is, for me, in games like this, it's going to be that one fumble in midfield. It's going to be go for it on 4th and 3 and miss it, because you're going to match. And one thing, keep a close eye on this, Matty, what happens in the red zone. That these teams are both love to score touchdowns. Who doesn't? And both are very adept at doing it. But the team that settles for a field goal or 2 or 3 and swaps that for a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix touchdown, you don't want to be in a chase mode. Although I wouldn't tune out of this game if I was you, even if it's within if it's a 2.5 touchdown at halftime lead, because it will not be over. But I like Oregon right now, the way they're playing. And Penix has been a little up and down in their offense. More plays being made on Oregon's both sides of the ball right now than Washington. I like Oregon, but I don't know if 10 points, 9.5 seems like a lot to me in a game like this. But the Heisman will be decided in this game too, which leads back to Jaden Daniels and why LSU's involved in this, obviously.
Washington was a 3.5-point home favorite when they played in the regular season. Of course, they won that game by 3. And then this game, as Sean mentioned, Oregon a 9.5-point favorite on the neutral field.
No question.
Dramatically different. As far as the Heisman conversation, of course, that's what everybody here is talking about. We've seen the public be wrong before, Sean, and obviously we've seen the betting odds go more toward Bo Nix. The public money is coming in on Bo Nix for the reason you said. He's going to get another game here. Do you suspect that voters may lean Jaden just because he has been objectively, he has had the more productive season. I mean, that's objective when you look at all the numbers and what he's done. The subjective component is, what do you make of how they got there and what their seasons meant? Do you think potentially the voters could go opposite the public?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any question. We've seen the movie before. I know people hate it, but the advantage of winning and having an opportunity to play in a conference championship, and shame on anybody that has a vote that doesn't wait till this weekend's over. Even for a guy like Carson Beck playing Alabama, right? He may finish in the top 5 as sneaky. He's not going to win it, but going into next year, he'll be a top candidate. Is he goes and puts up, throws for 380, and maybe it gets him a trip to New York and do it. So unless you're 100% unequivocally know what you want, shame on. I let this play out over the weekend, and it may make your decision easier one way or the other. But I do think the public and the Bo Nix, the public and the Heisman voters vote could go in different ways. I hope everybody takes it serious. I'm a big believer that I think I've told you this before, Maddie. They need to be watching every ounce of this game. They need to go back and watch 6 or 7 games of every player. Yeah. Don't just go by what you read in the paper, saw on social media. Study the person yourself. If you have a vote, it's part of your accountability and responsibility. This is an important award for life. It matters, and your vote is so important. Don't just say, I saw him, he's a West Coast guy, can't, or, Jaden's on a 3-loss team, blow it out, he's been great, but. Don't give me that. Watch, study it, and understand. But the advantage is he's going to be playing in a national championship Final Four appearance game, the winner more than likely going, the Heisman Trophy on the line. Eyes are going to be on him. They're going to, it's their only show in town on Friday night, which could be a disadvantage because they're doing stuff on Friday. Maybe enough eyes aren't seeing Bo Nix and Michael Penix. But to me, it can flip. The best player in America on a consistent basis this year, and he goes out and does it against a hell of a defense by rushing for $120, throwing 4 touchdowns, has been Jaden Daniels. Some voters are going to hold 3 losses against him. Some voters are going to use recency bias, and the recency bias is the most recent. I've seen guys, the Woods and Peyton Manning go out and have a monster game on the last game of the season, and it feels like that counts for 3 for some voters. Really, Matty, it does. They oh, man. I can't believe it when you say, okay, well, slow down. Let's the whole picture. It's like the same thing like when Alabama got beat by Texas early in the season. I don't understand why people say, well, it didn't really matter in September. Then why are we playing 12 of them if September didn't matter, but December does?
Amen.
It makes no sense to me. They're all games. They all matter. And it's important in the big structure of things. So please don't tell me anybody that, well, Alabama got beat by Texas early, can't reward. Well, so what? They were number 3 in the country. And with this, yes, you get an extra game, but don't just put 3 losses on the quarterback. Hell, they'd have had far more if it wasn't for the quarterback doing his thing with his feet, his arm, his mind, and elevating every single game. Every day, and the expectations, knowing if you stop Jaden Daniels, things aren't going to happen, and you still couldn't stop him. That's when I know Steph Curry's shooting 3 and I can't run him off the 3-point line, he's still knocking him down, then my defense, then we got to make some adjustments, or that guy's a freak show. Steffi is, Jaden Daniels is. Don't judge him by Sundays. I want to know this year who is the best college player day in and day out, week in and week out, all year long. It was Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix has an argument. Penix has their guys have an argument. I get that. But the best, and we're looking for the best, regardless of your criteria, has been Jaden Daniels. Now, if Bo Nix goes out, Maddie, and I hate to say this to LSU fans, and throws for 375, they win by 17, he rushes for 85, and he throws 4 touchdowns, he's going to win the Heisman Trophy because that's the last thing they're going to see while it sucks. And listen, Bo Nix wouldn't have to apologize for winning. He's had a hell of a year. I'm not downgrading him because he's been in college 12 years. I mean, I get it, and I know people want to, but he's under the rules, so he's allowed to play. I understand. Both are transfers. Both are on different programs, so I get the whole thing. But watch it closely, everybody. Now, if Bo Nix and Penix battle back and forth, it's a 235-yard passing game, 1 pick, 3 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels, and I don't know when the last time a Heisman Trophy winner, maybe it's happened a bunch, lost 3 games, isn't one of the, what's that?
It was Lamar Jackson.
There you go. There you go, at Louisville.
Yeah.
That this guy, so it's rare, which all of a sudden tells you this isn't just a stat guy. The way he got to those stats was nothing short of phenomenal. So, Maddie, people are going to watch it. I understand why. If Bo Nix has an average to decent game, Jaden Daniels is winning this award, even if Oregon wins the game. If Bo Nix goes off, the last thing they're going to remember before they cast their vote on December 4th, it'll be close, but Bo Nix will, the favorite, the odds for him to win it will go more in his favor. And if not, if they're struggling at halftime, it's one of those games. Jaden Daniels is going to run up and get this Heisman Trophy, and he also won't have to apologize one friggin' bit for taking it. I would vote for him today, but I'm also waiting to see what happens because I think it's going to be a really close ballot regardless of the result of Friday night's game between Washington and Oregon.
That is true. For the first time in a long time, it feels like we might be sitting in New York City a week from Saturday going, whose name are they going to read out?
100%. Even if Bo plays really good, there's still going to be a groundswell for the overall body of work. And Bo's had a great overall body of work. So has Penix. But the best body of work, I didn't say the better, I said the best. The best body of work resides in Baton Rouge, and it's Jaden Daniels to date. I would have loved it if he was getting ready to play Georgia in this game. And just I would. Then it's on, right? It comes down the way it's supposed to be, right? Both are playing. But I'll tell you what he's done, though. He's posted his score, and Bo Nix knows, because just as much as you can win it on the last day of the season like this, you can also lose it by throwing 2 picks on a tip ball, even if somebody didn't see it. So while Bo Nix also has more pressure on him now because he's got to go out. He's thinking team, but that Heisman Trophy's looming for him because that never goes away once somebody puts that on your back, that you're the Heisman Trophy winner. I can't wait to see Friday night's game and how this result turns out.
That is immortality. Sean Salsbury's on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. I'll give him a follow. It's great to be with us every single Tuesday here during football season. We always appreciate it, man. Thanks so much. Have a great one.
My pleasure. Go Tigers, man. It should be a fun one this weekend. Thanks, brother.
All right. Thanks, Sean. We appreciate you. It's After Further Review. Let's knock out a quick break. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. If you want to see 2020, call 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. That's 924-2020 or williamsoneye.com. Eye care, eyewear, and eye surgery. Go for that annual eye exam at the Williamson Eye Center. If you have been thinking about ditching those contacts and glasses forever, the Williamson Eye Center can help. Maybe it's LASIK. Maybe it's EVO ICL. Ask about EVO ICL. That's the implantable contact lens. It's an alternative to LASIK for people who are nearsighted. If you're worried about LASIK, changing the shape of your eye, all the stuff, just go get all the information. That's what I encourage you to do. Just go for that consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson. It's the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020. 924-2020. Or williamsoneye.com. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Let's knock out a quick break. Come back. Some incredible TV viewership numbers from Thanksgiving that I want to share with you. And if you haven't heard yet, one of the more unpredictable stories in recent college football memory went down in Fayetteville, Arkansas today. We'll catch you up if you missed it. Stick around. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel, the Watermark Downtown, the Renaissance Southtown, 2 amazing hotel properties here in Baton Rouge. Check out the Renaissance Hotel, of course. If the Renaissance is equipped to be able to host the entire LSU football program the night before a game, they can host your event. Call my friend Allison Crump over at the Renaissance Hotel. She's the events coordinator. She says all the time, we're in the business of saying yes. Whatever type of event you're trying to host, they'll make it work within their space and their event space is. They're so easy to work with. It's a beautiful property. It's convenient on Bluebonnet, proximity to I-10, directly across from Perkins Row. It's the Renaissance Hotel. Also tell you all the time about Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel. The secret's out. Told y'all for a while that it's Baton Rouge's best-kept secret. Well, it ain't a secret no more. And if you want to go eat at Tallulah, especially on football weekends, you better get that reservation. It's Tallulah inside the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet. The Watermark and the Renaissance Hotels.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. $20,000 off plus no payments for 90 days on new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Hey, boat owners, check it out. It is the holiday season, which means it's time to buy yourself a gift by taking your boat to the next level with our friends at Front to Back Boat Service. Now is the perfect time to upgrade your boat and get it ready for that warmer weather, whether that's trolling motors, HD sonar, anything and everything. The Sherman family's been at it for 30 years, and Devin's going to take you through 30 more. Find him on Facebook at Front to Back Boat Service or go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Would a couple that just came from a couples massage have any use for the massage seats of the Infiniti QX60? Yes, it appears they would. With driver and passenger massage seats, mute all your notifications and feel infinitely you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
Just living the farm life. Yeah, we're living the farm life. Little back road.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Oh, Muse, I want you things from Tractor Sexy. It's the one song I know.
That is the one song that you know.
By the way, inquiring minds want to know, Muse. A lot of people on the show text line today have been asking, when's the second date? Have you talked to Sydney? Muse, for those that missed it. The Bachelor. By the way, there were some people that were texting after the show. They were like, "Oh my God, I thought that was a joke." They didn't think it was real.
Yeah, it's real.
No, it was real. Muse went on a date to the Aqua concert with Sydney G.
There you go.
And Muse told us yesterday that she agreed to a second date. We'll see if that was just her being polite or if she ghosts you.
Well, she hasn't ghosted me, so.
Maybe she's trolling you.
That's an elaborate troll to go through.
Be really good.
Maybe
no, I
it would
told
be.
you. I want this to be your first wife.
Yeah. Okay.
I want it to
Again,
be your first
you
wife,
gotta
Muse,
chill.
so I can go to the wedding and give a toast and take credit.
Yeah. That's a very you thing to do.
Yeah.
That is something that you would do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
it sure is.
100%. Even if you weren't invited, you just probably show up.
I'm showing up at that wedding. I dare you.
Yeah.
I dare you to try to keep me out. Seamus O'Toole, Bobby O'Shea. I'm here to get drunk. He's so good. Got so Muse. I mean,
yeah, no. Well, we haven't set the second date yet.
Okay.
But we've talked.
You've talked.
Yeah.
Talked or texted?
Texted.
See, that's.
I don't talk on the phone. I don't like it very much. I will talk to family on the phone, but that's about it.
How
and
are
it's
you going
rare.
to court this girl if you don't talk to her? You got to speak words.
That texts count as speaking words.
it
Yeah,
doesn't
they do.
at all.
Yes, it does. Yes, it absolutely does.
No, it doesn't.
Why not?
There is a personal connection that happens when you actually speak words. Because people on text all the time, you can kill the song. They use dumb emojis in text all the time. And a lot of times you use an emoji whenever that's like you'll put like the laughing emoji. Your ass didn't really laugh. How many, admit that. Like, how many of us send like a laughing out loud emoji, the tears crying emoji, when you're not really laughing?
Maybe half the time.
All the time.
Not all the time.
100% of the time. If I go through your phone and looked at every time you put LOL or a laughing emoji, etc., how many times did you actually laugh out loud or laugh so hard you were crying? Maybe 1% of the time.
Probably about half the time.
No, that is a fabrication. That's a total lie. Anyway, you have to speak to this girl. You got to, Muse. Paulie, back me up here on this, right? Like, I'm not saying never text. I text my wife plenty, but like if you're in a relationship, you're starting to build a relationship, you have to speak words.
Yeah, spoken word is the way to go.
Thank you. And Paul never says anything.
Exactly.
I mean, he knows. Okay. Chris on the text line said, Muso needs to watch the Key and Peele texting skit to see how bad texting is. Oh.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
I need to see that too. Key and Peele.
Yeah, it's a good show, man. Key and Peele.
The skit with the football introduction name.
Oh, it's so good. The East West Bowl game or whatever they call it. Yeah.
Good.
It is fantastic.
As it goes, they keep getting more ridiculous.
Yeah.
If you don't know what we're talking about, just go Google Key and Peele and just fall down that rabbit hole. You'll be glad you did. All right, it's after further review. Do you have my song? Yeah. Okay. This is one of the most incredible stories ever. 11 years after Bobby Petrino got into a motorcycle crash with a co-ed on the back of the bike, lied about it, went to a press conference with the neck brace on. Look at this picture. The neck brace, the Sugar Bowl hat. And he's got
the generic Sugar Bowl hat.
The generic Sugar Bowl hat. Not well. They weren't the champions. I guess they won it by default.
Still, you don't have like an Arkansas version of it. It's
Maybe
just
there's
like
a hog logo on the
maybe.
side. Your boy's got the quarter zip, the faded Arkansas quarter zip, and he's sitting there for like trying to get sympathy. 11 years after this became a picture all of us know. The man who was just riding on his Harley, brother, got his little blonde co-ed on the back, and it all came crashing down, literally and figuratively. Today, Bobby Petrino was rehired at the University of Arkansas. Of all the coaches, I mean this seriously, where you could never imagine them being rehired after their scandal. Joe Paterno. Now he's dead, but after that, all
for sure. Art Briles.
I was thinking the Baylor basketball coach whose name is escaping me, but that there are two Baylor coaches that would fit. Well, remember there was the Baylor player that murdered his teammate, and who was that basketball coach? I'm blanking anyway. which makes it even more incredible what Scott Drew has done. Taking over that situation, turning them into a national champion. But anyway, Bobby Petrino, lying to your bosses. Like, I could see Bruce Pearl getting rehired at Tennessee. They didn't want to fire him. It wasn't like he had a barbecue. He just lied to an NCAA investigator about a barbecue. You know what I mean? I could see a day where he goes back there. Not today, but you know what I mean. That's why a lot of these guys get rehired. But Bobby Petrino, back to Arkansas. So good. Did you get the coach's name? I thought you were looking that up.
No, I couldn't find it. I can look again though. I didn't.
You couldn't find Baylor basketball coach scandal?
Didn't.
Muse, for someone who texts all the time, I got to teach you how to use Google.
All right, chill out.
I mean, what are you talking about? You couldn't find it. All right, you find that. Turn off the music. It's AFR. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Sign, then drive is back, y'all. 0 down, 0 due at signing, no first month's payment, no security deposit. Sign your name, and with little else, you're driving away in a brand new vehicle from South Point Volkswagen. They are an airline just north of Highland, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. I drive the Atlas Crossport. Had the Atlas, 3-row, 7-seater family SUV, but it's just me, Erica, and Drew, and realized I didn't need all that room. So traded that in, got the Atlas Crossport, which takes out the third row, a little shorter, a little sleeker, all the great technology. Test drive one today at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction?
Dave Bliss.
Dave Bliss. Boy, what a story there. Does it show who the name of the player was? Is it on there?
Are you the one who was murdered or the other one?
Both.
Patrick Dennehy.
Yeah, Dennehy
was murdered.
Yeah. God, that was such a crazy, tragic story. So really awkward to try to transition from that. We got Otter Locks coming up here in just a quick second. But did you see? So the NFL and the TV networks have released their viewership numbers for Thanksgiving. So it's 3 games: Packers, Lions, Commanders, Cowboys, Niners, Seahawks, combined to average 34.1 million viewers. Let me put some perspective. The World Series this year averaged 9.1 million viewers. The NBA Finals averaged 11.6 million. The Academy Awards averaged 18.8 million. The Grammys averaged 12.5 million. Thanksgiving football, 34.1 million viewers on average. You know what's funny? People talk about the NFL all the time. Oh, the officiating's terrible. I'm never watching. All the rule changes. Put flags on them. I'm done with the NFL. Remember Tom Brady this week? Talked about the quality of play in the NFL is dropping. Gambling. Suspensions for gambling. Never watch it again. It's rigged. It's fixed. I hate Goodell. Legit scandals like the Kaepernick protests, COVID. Damar Hamlin died on the field last year. I mean, legit, serious things. And we just cannot quit the NFL, y'all. 34 million on average for Thanksgiving football. NFL's unstoppable, man. Unbelievable. Okay, final break of the show. Otter Locks are next. We need a comeback tonight. We had the over and the Vikings. That was a double whammy last night. You have the wrong. We had the over and the Vikings. See if we can make good tonight. It's AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Pluckers, Nicholson, Bluebonnet, dine-in, carry-out, or delivery with 28 flavors of award-winning jumbo chicken wings, ice-cold draft beer, full-service bar, sports on TV. Remember, 2 things to remind you about every Tuesday. Number 1, Tuesday night, kids eat free. So get by either Pluckers location. Parents, adults, buy the entree, kids eat for free. It's that simple at both Pluckers locations. So if you want to get out, have a night out with the family, fun night out, do so affordably, you can do it at Pluckers. Kids can go there, be a little rowdy. They got Pop a Shot at the one on Bluebonnet right there as well. And video games and Golden Tee. While Dad, you can watch the games, whatever, have a cold beer. Pluckers. Every Tuesday, kids eat free. Also Tuesday, sports trivia at the Nicholson location. So just, a half-mile south of LSU's campus. If you're passing Tiger Stadium going south on Nicholson, you just go past Burbank and then boom, right there on the left. You can't miss it. It's Pluckers. Dining, carry out, or delivery at Pluckers. If you don't like our wings, we'll give you the bird.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on all new 23 Ford F-150 Black Widow trucks, plus $2,750 discount APR and 5.9% for 72 months. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come, final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. One thing left to do, let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable and of an incomprehensible, the Ottfather himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Doing good, Matt. Let's turn the page. Let's get to some college basketball tonight.
Okay.
ACC, SEC Challenge. Handful of games there. Let's go to Lexington, Kentucky. Kentucky Wildcats had a very nice showing early on, and where they gave up a big lead to then number one Kansas. And a lot of people jumped on them. They became co-favorites to win the national championship when they were not even favored to win their own conference.
Wow.
So a little bit of an overreaction to the early results for Kentucky. Miami's good again. Larinaga, his team back from the Final Four last year. We're going to take the 6. Got 7 earlier, but I still like it at 6.
Okay.
Plus 6. All right, and one more. We're going to go to small conference school. Coach, I think, is kind of a hidden little secret right now, this little team. This is a coach that's already taken 2 different teams to the NCAA tournament, and he's already gone to pull off an upset on the road by 10 over one of his former employers, DCU. Talking about Willie Wade and the McNeese Cowboys going to UAB tonight and taking plus 5.5. We're on them until they don't hit. I mean, because he He's always going to be good. I don't care where he is,
Let's
when he's
go.
got, what year, he's going to go to work. Take the 5.5 against UAB with McNeese State.
The general.
Yeah.
All right, we got Miami, the Canes on the road at Rupp, +6. The McNeese Cowboys, +5.5. A couple of underdogs tonight for the Otter. Otter, where are you tomorrow?
Snow, Seafood, and Steak in Gonzales.
Awesome, man. Great spot there. We appreciate it as always. Good luck. Let's get a little bounce back tonight. Let's get it, Otter.
Let's get past that stinky line last night. That was a wonderful game.
Oh, my God. What a pile of trash. Otter, I told Muse, too. So for those that missed it, last night we had the Vikings and the
1 minute remaining.
Both missed, but I in-game live bet the over when it got down into the mid-30s. So I had a triple whammy last night. It was no bueno for your boy. But we'll get it back tonight. All right, Otter, thank you very much. We'll talk tomorrow.
All right, Matt.
All right, be well. That is Jimmy Ott. This is After Further Review. Oh, real quick, remind about Traction. TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Remember, Traction, I told you about this yesterday. Traction has their softball pitching clinic that they're taking registration right now. Go to Traction.com, Traction.com. They've got it's 4 sessions. So for girls interested in learning the fundamentals of pitching for softball, 4 sessions coming up. You can register at TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com, TractionSports.com. Traction, where champions are made. All right, it's going to do it for us today. Muse, Paulie, y'all have an awesome day. Thanks so much. Catch AFR on demand. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
AFR.
All right, y'all, as we get on down the road, remind you about the aesthetic medicine and anti-aging clinics of Louisiana. Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge, Ambassador Caffrey in Lafayette, and online at theantiagingclinics.com. If you want to look and feel like your younger self, they can help. I mean, when you want to talk about vitality, having energy when you wake up in the morning, you know, whenever you were younger and you felt like you could eat whatever and you never gain weight, well, that may not be completely plausible when you're over, but when you had that metabolism, when you just had, you could burn muscle, or you could burn fat, you could build muscle when you had your workouts, you were just had that vitality to go attack your day. And as we age and our body produces less of the hormones that contribute to how we feel, you can safely and affordably supplement yourself to get back to healthy levels. That's what it's about. Go for that simple blood test. That's my big encouragement, just my push is to go for that simple blood test, go for that consultation to see if you're a candidate for HRT and change your life today. TheAntiAgingClinics.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.